All right, we are here for Voice of All Things, episode 35. All right, hold on. There's a lot of lag on my side, guys. I apologize. There was a few things that kind of like got scuffed up. Don't know exactly what to do about it, but we're trucking along at least. But today is a very special stream. I am here with here, as I fix my camera, I'll do the introduction. I'm here with the one-man army. You guys don't know how much work this man pulls off. Let me see if I could show you real quick. So, you guys who are on Twitch, on YouTube, you guys might not know who I'm streaming with, but let me tell you, this guy, Xavier Wolfan, let me pull up the stats. All right, he broke 100,000. I think it was end of last year, right? 100,000 on TikTok. Yeah, and so he cleared out 112 now on TikTok. And don't let this kid, the unnamed devil fruit, that don't let those fool you. Every video, believe it or not, connects to Bogart. And you guys might think that's ridiculous, but that's why this guy is a unit. Like, if you guys think I'm good at making connections, this guy never ceases to amaze me about how he ends up connecting something to Bogart. And one of my favorite ones is actually the swordsman feat. But the thing is, we can't even jump into it because on YouTube there's a lot of Bogart disrespect. And that's exactly why we're having this stream right now, is to put some respect on GARP'S right-hand man's name, Bogart. And so, Xavier Wolfan, I tagged your YouTube, but let everybody know who you are, what you are, all the good stuff, what you talk about, what you like, that kind of thing.
Yeah, I mean, I appreciate you having me on here. I'm Xavier Wolfan. I got a YouTube and a TikTok. I don't really use the YouTube that often, but on TikTok, I'll be posting probably every day. And like Par was saying, I'm going to probably have Bogart in every video because he's just kind of relevant to every topic that I'm discussing. He just kind of is. So yeah, that's kind of my thing. My name is not my actual name. It's just I'm a fan of Xavier Wolf. I've always kept the name. My actual name's Max. So yeah, that's pretty much the basics.
Gotcha. What so the Voice of All Things, the point of this stream is to get to know all the voices within the community to get a better understanding of One Piece. And that's where literally, I'm just a theorist, right? There's so many theorists. There's literally you can go on TikTok, there's hundreds of them. You can go on YouTube, it's all theories, right? Headcanons, theories, whatever. I'm just a normal dude, but Xavier is one of a kind. The amount of details you know about Bogart, all that stuff is just so interesting. I'm curious, what made you gravitate towards Bogart?
So it didn't happen on my first watch. I barely noticed him, but then on my rewatch of the series, I definitely noticed that man, and I was like, okay, that man right there, that he's pretty cool. He's got a very cool design. I don't know, he also trained Kobe, and he's GARP'S right hand man. It all just was such a cool showing to me, and no one ever gave him that much spotlight, and I just kind of wanted to be the one to do it. Basically, that's kind of how it happened.
Yeah, that it's kind of crazy because I tried to bring up the stats, but I don't know how exactly to look them up. But you single-handedly made Bogart more popular than Green Bull on TikTok, right? What's the new record for Bogart?
Oh, I think it's almost 100 million. I'm trying to pass up 1,044 now. That's the goal.
Wait, okay. Wait, what number? So the hashtag Bogart's at what on TikTok?
It's almost at 100 million, but the hashtag for One Piece chapter 1044 is at 122.
Okay.
So I feel that would be work to pass up.
Gotcha. Wow, that's it's kind of crazy because it's basically you know, you spearheading the Bogart hashtag and then a few other people
Yeah.
that like joined in afterwards. I had a video with Bogart in it, and I just added a hashtag Bogart just to support everything. Um, but yeah, that being said, like, you know, we're with chapter 1080. Finally, there's two like roads connecting here. One, all the GARP fraud people, you know, you just made a TikTok about that. The thing is, like, on YouTube, it was there was a few individuals, but the thing is, like, as I brought it up to people, like, they're like, wait, do people really think GARP is a fraud? And then I'm like, I feel like my perspective is skewed because on TikTok, there's like, I'd say like half the people, if not more of the people, at least from like recent memory, going hard about GARP being a fraud. It's like, it's so crazy that exists. And then as a byproduct of that, that would mean that Bogart would be a fraud as well, right? Like, if you lowered GARP, then you'd lower Bogart, which is like, both of those things are ridiculous. So now that we got chapter 1080, how are you feeling about the Bogart agenda?
Well, I do feel like you could argue it does make Bogart look better because if Garp has that good of a showing at his age, I mean, come on, his right hand man, he's not equal to him, obviously, but like he's gonna have some pretty powerful hockey if you see Garp doing stuff like that.
Yeah, do you wanna give everybody like a rundown about who Bogart is to Garp, like where he fits in the timeline, like their relationship, what he's done, some feats, like give us the resume of Bogart.
So basically, the way I look at it, like Bogart's relationship to Garp is the same way like Zoro's relationship to Luffy is. They're both like quiet swordsmen who kind of like keep to themselves, but they're always like ready for action. And then like both of them also keep their captains in check because Bogart was like, "Oh, I don't know if you should let your son go like that. I don't know if that's a good excuse to let your grandson go." And Zoro does the same things to Luffy. He keeps him in check, and like Bogart's also been there for a while since chapter 0, so that's like 27 years he's been doing stuff like that. So like
Minimum.
yeah, minimum. That's right. Yeah.
So that, that's kind of wild. That's like, and the other thing is like, so if you guys, nah, I don't talk about it in the recent thing. I think I might have talked about the live reaction, but Garp's original design is Bogart, right? That's It's so crazy that that's the case. Like, it's like Oda, like Garp is like, Bogart is Garp number like 1.0, and then Garp, like the actual Garp, is just like the full version, right? That's kind of how I see it. And so there was another really cool fact that in terms of swordsmanship, uh Bogart, I forgot what it was exactly. It was Bogart was the first to show a specific sword technique, right? What was that exactly?
Well, like in real life, it's called Iaido or Iai Jutsu. He's like, you know, the drawn sheath technique where you like close your sword and then the cut is made, basically.
Yep,
You know
yep,
that
that
one?
one. Yep, yep.
Yeah. So like, from what I haven't seen anyone use it from before, and maybe I'm wrong, but like, I'm pretty sure he's the first one to use it in One Piece. He definitely used it before Zoro. I don't
Yeah.
think anyone used it before him.
And Mihawk can't really do it because it's like his sheath is back. Yeah. So it was chapter 99, I believe, which is a very important chapter for so. I mean, it's titled Luffy died, and then like it
Yeah.
opens up with Dragon, and before we get Dragon, we get Bogart, and it's like, hold on, is that, is that subliminal? Like, Oda chose to put Bogart in such an important chapter. I wonder why, right? Um, and yeah, like, there's I don't use TikTok either. I'm a YouTube purist. That's why we're bringing the Bogart agenda here. The Bogart agenda has been like something that I've noticed is, I started on TikTok. Still, a lot of people don't realize that or know that, but you single-handedly influenced all the TikTok creators, who also, some of them are on YouTube, and we all are just like love Bogart. And like, so when this chapter came out, if you looked at all the live stream reactions, anybody who was from TikTok was like, yo, I can't wait for Bogart, and it was all because of you. It's like the funniest thing. But then like all the like non-TikTok people, like, the YouTube head people, they were just like, yeah, Garp's cool, whatever, and nobody mentioned Bogart. And I was like, wait, hold on, that's so crazy.
If they're not cultured, they don't know.
They don't know. So, for those of you guys who are tuning in just now, um, I had a Bogart discussion with two YouTubers, Sai and Zonin, specifically because they are YouTube people and they don't know about Bogart. And it's for members only right now, but I might make it live later on. I wanted to have this conversation so that conversation will be even funnier after the fact. But something that they asked me, right? So actually, let's back it up. So the thing with Bogart, right? We saw him in the cover story in when like Kobe and Helmeppo joined GARP. Then we saw him with GARP at Water 7, like post Enies lobby. Thereafter, we don't really see him, right? Like he wasn't there at Marineford. And so some people think like, oh, Oda just forgot about Bogart. What do you have as a response to that?
Okay, well, here's the thing about that. He wasn't at Marineford, but the thing is, Oda did make Strong World like during that same year he drew Marineford, and he put Bogart in Chapter 0. And then he also put Bogart in a color spread for Film Z in 2012. So it's not like he forgot about him. Like, he's still like being drawn after Marineford.
Wait, he's in like the color spread for Film Z. Okay, let me check this out.
Yeah,
because that's pretty important. Okay, that's a good bit of detail, right? Like people are gonna say, oh, that was a decade ago, right? But the thing is, the other thing that we kind of discussed there was like, well, are there other examples of like a Bogart like character that was introduced and then didn't show up for a very, very long time? And the thing is, the only kind of characters that are similar in that regard are like Roger, Whitebeard kind of characters, like characters tied to those two. And when you think about like Marco, for example, Marco also was introduced and then we didn't see him for a very, very long time. Their stories were like obviously shorter, but they're not like, GARP is a little bit different in that regard because the last saga is about the Marines versus everything in between is about the pirate stuff, right? So we weren't gonna get them, like whenever we get GARP is when we're supposed to get Bogart. Now the other side of things is now at chapter 1080, people are wondering where Bogart is, and there's a whole context here. So to bring the to bring the chat up to speed, essentially, right, the place we're at 1080, we have GARP unilaterally heading towards Full of Lead because Kobe got captured. People were like, wait, hold on, you can't do that. And he's like, nah, I can, I'm just gonna do what I want, right? Then chapter 1080 comes around and we see Sword all like unleashing a complete operation that is in tow with GARP, flying in and using the Galaxy Impact, right? And the thing is, we don't see Bogart, but we get this like information from Aokiji. We get information about Sword in that the people who are in Sword are characters that aren't necessarily on the Navy like list, or they like can easily be removed. I don't know the full context about that, and they can like attack Yonkos whenever they want, and the Navy can cut ties with whenever. And so I guess like a big question people are having right now is, Kobe's obviously in Sword, he just admitted it. Is Aokiji in Sword? Do you think Aokiji is in Sword based off of this chapter?
I feel like that'd be like way too obvious for Oda to like make Aokiji like describe Sword directly to Blackbeard's face and then have him be in Sword. I don't think he's fully loyal to Teach, but if he's still a Marine, I just feel like that'd be such an insult to Blackbeard's intelligence, like one of the most smart people in One Piece.
Yeah, I read it like that too. I was like, wait, hold on, Blackbeard, you didn't even like ask any questions. And like the only rebuttal is like maybe there's like they're both playing like interdimensional chess with each other, right? Like they're so gigabrained, we're just too small-minded. And speaking about another gigabrain here, we got Brago B.D.A. Law in the chat saying, my boy Stebo been on the Bogart hype train for a minute. We'll see how it plays out with that one.
I follow that dude on Twitter. He is cultured as fuck. He's been hyping up Bogart since like 2018 or something, like way before me. That dude is dope.
Okay, okay.
Like, way
Uh,
before me.
that's sick. That's sick. Brago coming in just to say that's crazy. Wait, so you know you're connected. You talk to each other on Twitter because that's another important thing.
Talk to him, but keep up with his tweets and I follow him because he's cultured. He knows.
Got it.
So
Got it. I let me damn, I can't get the link right now, but you have a Discord that's called the Bogarden of Eden, which is a dope name, and it's literally all Bogard fans. It's so crazy. Like when I entered there, I was expecting like, you know, conversation here and there, but then it was like everybody knew about Bogard. There was like rankings about Bogard. I was like, this is sick. And like that was another thing that I wanted to come out of the stream, that like people who just like unironically love Bogard can just like gather together, and hopefully, you know, even, you know, with when it comes to like Oda, some people have the idea that like Law stayed in the story longer because the popularity of like Law shot up, you know, after time skip, and so Oda like wrote a longer story for Law within the Straw Hat story. And so like I'm low-key hoping that if we shoot Bogard like to skyrocket, there's no way that like Oda can ignore that. You know what I mean? He listens. He's on Twitter. He's everywhere, right? Like,
I hope so, because I don't know how like tapped in the Japanese like fans are. I have no idea. Maybe they are very aware of him. I don't know.
yeah, actually, that's a good point. I should ask. Ask around on for the Japanese community, see if they got like Bogart trending on their like side of Twitter, Reddit, that kind of stuff. I just want to address it real quick. The stream was late because I was having like technical difficulties, and so obviously the camera's scuffed, but at least Xavier looks good, so that's all that really matters. Like, you know, he's coming in crisp. He has that Bogart poster front and center. So I apologize for being scuffed, but at least our guest is looking clean. Let's see. Let me get to some of these super chats I see. Well, they're all from one person. Mr. Bushido, €2 says Tashigi is Smoker's Bogart. How does that make you feel?
She is, unfortunately, like that's just how it works. But the thing about Tashigi too is like Smoker is not that strong. So and she's only going to be limited like to be in Smoker's shadow. So like her potential isn't really that great when you look at it like that, which kind of sucks, but like,
You know, hey, maybe she beats him. You know what I mean? What if she gets stronger? All she needs is armament hockey, right? Technically, and then it's wraps for Smoker. Technically, oh no, he has armament too. Yeah, Tashigi is a character you want to be good, but like you said, since it's tied to Smoker, it's like you want Tashigi to be good, but you also need Smoker to be good, and it feels like neither of those things are happening right now. And you know, here's a tough question, and I know this is gonna ruffle some feathers of the chat. If you could have a good showing for Bogard or Smoker, which one would you choose?
this is for the chat, right?
I mean, for the chat. I mean, everyone knows your answer. You kind of just made the face and then you had the poster in the back, which is like, it's funny because there's so many Smoker fans. Like, I'm okay with throwing out Smoker. And like, hey, Hidden Island, Morge, all the people that want, there's like a portion of people that had like a Smoker for Nakama theory, like he's gonna join the crew, and hey, like even with that in mind, I'd still rather have Bogard be dope as fuck. You know what I mean? Like, it just, Bogard is GARP'S right hand. Like, what could be cooler than having like you said, like his own Zoro, and Smoker needs it for the series though. Like, dude needs to show up and help save Law right now. Nah, just bring in Bogart. Like, Bogart could do everything you want. Anything you want Smoker to do, just reimagine it with Bogart. Like, it's just cooler. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, like I do really like Smoker though. He is one of my favorite Marines, but obviously I like Bogard more. He's definitely stronger too. He definitely has more experience. So like,
yeah.
obviously.
There's just too much room. I mean, Smoker was sitting in the East Blue for his entire life until the series started. And Bogart, though, Bogart's been running it back and forth down the Grand Line with GARP.
Exactly.
It's like his like longer. How old is Smoker? Not his whole life, but could be his whole life, because in chapter 0,
What?
Bogart looks exactly the same as he does right now. So it's like, if you know what I mean, like he could honestly be the person who has the perennial youth surgery. I wouldn't be surprised. He's been looking good for a long time.
Yeah, could easily be him.
Um,
But
no, what are you gonna say?
Smoker, I don't know if that anime flashback was. Oh, it's not canon, but like he saw Roger get executed as a kid, and so that would probably explain his age right there. But
True, true, true. I forgot. Smoker was there. Oh yeah, that's his thing. He was just like, oh, Luffy. It's the same guy. It's the same thing as that other, the Roger. Oh my god, like that. And then we just drop off. Like, cool. Smoke Logia. Cool. Not that great anymore. Is he even? Was he like, slander aside, in 1078? Was it when they showed like the lineup all the Marines? They didn't show Smoker, right? Like, he's not headed towards Egghead, and he's not on full alert.
oh yeah,
So he's just,
no,
that's just
yeah.
All right, so let me get to this other super chats. Mr. Bushido says, I've been backing Bogart 4 years. Don't know why though. Because Bogart is, he's just a cool character. His design, like even his sword has stayed one of the coolest swords. Like,
It looks like a Wano samurai sword almost.
yeah, it definitely, dude. Benjamin says that Xavier dude has a cute laugh. Hey, we stay nice over here. We're clean. Mr. Bushido, €2 says Bogart is GARP'S Rayleigh. Who was his scopper? We don't even know what happened in Scopper right now, so
I feel like low-key Bogart could be like compensating for both the right and left-hand man positions, and that's just like what makes him so strong, you know, like that could be the.
That's fair. That's fair, right? Like, Bogart. So then here's the question. You think Bogart can solo King and Queen?
I don't know about all of that. They're ancient Zoans. I mean, if he's really like Rayleigh, probably like, I don't know. Probably not. That's too much.
Do you think Bogart was at God Valley? What do you think about that?
Oh, I think that's a definite possibility. Like, if Oda's going to go out of his way to show that he was with Garp 27 years back, I don't think 10 more years is that out of the question. Like, he's just that loyal. He would want a good, like, Marine to be by his side at God Valley. It would just make sense if he was there.
Yeah. Like, I mean, because, like, if Rayleigh was there, Bogart's there, right? Like, there's no world where Roger shows up solo, right? Unless, like, actually, there is a world, I guess, but like it'd be so weird because if God Valley was a Marineford parallel, right? Like Luffy was alone going into that, so like maybe Roger, through some circumstances, was alone going into that, which explains why he was teaming up with Garp rather than like his own crew. It's an interesting thing, I guess. But no, Luffy didn't have anybody on the Marine side at Marineford, right? Like not like that. Like Boa doesn't count. Ivankov's not there. Yeah, no one really in that, like, not a Garp parallel at Marineford, at least. Kobe was trying to fight him, so it's interesting.
Rayleigh was at God Valley, I'm pretty sure, because of Shanks being found by Rayleigh and Roger. Right?
Oh, did it was that a film Red thing that no, wait, hold on.
Volume 4 billion.
Volume 4 billion said Rayleigh was also there. I thought it was just the Rod. Okay. Oh, that's an important detail then. Okay, see, that's what I'm talking about, right? Like, that attention to detail, you need that to support like a character like Bogart. But like, oh wait, hold on. That just like fixes a few things for me, because like a lot of people still bring up that, like, was Rayleigh even there? But you're right. If it says that Rayleigh and Roger found him, then yeah, he had to be there. Unless like Roger took the treasure chest, went back home, didn't open it, and then like Rayleigh's just like, hey, like, what's inside the box? And then they just found him. You know what I mean? Like, that would be like a weird way to go about it. But what you said makes way more sense for sure.
I'm pretty sure they just like they found him after the whole thing happened.
Yeah. And so like Rayleigh being there makes Bogart a lot more plausible to be there. Bogart, man, I just need I need like a filler, like an anime filler just about Bogart, right? Like something. Give this dude something.
One Piece film gray. That's what we
Film.
really need.
Ooh, wait, is that something you thought about, or you just thought about right now?
Well, someone put it in my comments and I had to take the joke, but like, yeah, I could be a consultant on that. I would be
Okay.
pretty.
Yeah, I mean, I think you probably know Bogart more than like Oda's editors at this point. Like, you would probably like some of these editors. They're too new. You know what I mean? Like, they probably don't. I think Oda just got a new editor. Actually, he probably doesn't even know Bogart.
I hope the editors, I hope some of them know Bogart just in case Oda forgets about him. They can just remind him because that would really suck if Oda forgot about him.
I think Oda remembers. I think like because when we get to like some of the details that I found like because Bogart is a character that is actually inspired by an outside source, like possibly one of Oda's like favorite movies, or like an iconic movie. But we'll talk about that like towards the end. Let me see. Miss Rushio the 5 year says, I bet you Smoker is gonna get a power up majorly. Also, where can I find the Discord link? I need more people who get Bogart's importance. Let me see. Wait, Xavier, do you think you can send it in the chat? Or wait, did you type in the chat? Because I should mod you. That's one thing. If you're able to. No pressure on them. Like no timeline on that. Just so I can get the link. I can't pull it up right now without messing up the making.
Just send it in.
You can send it on the YouTube chat. That way people can get it, and I'll mod you there too. Then we have Axe D Charlotte becoming a member. Appreciate you. Dang, is it really the first month? Well, you just got access to the Bogart conversation I had with Sai and Zonin, but also surprise, me and King of Lightning also spoke for 2 hours and members got early access. It's gonna probably be posted tomorrow, and so that was a really good conversation. I wanted to bring Bogart up for that, but there was too much I had to fight a lot of agenda in that conversation, so maybe next time I'll bring up Bogart to King of Lightning.
Wait, what type of agenda were you fighting?
So he was a person famously downplaying GARP. He is a reformed GARP fraud pusher. Last year he put him in the top 20, I think, for the first time. But he still believes that he's old and slow, and we need proof that this attack in 1080 has done stuff. Like he's saying essentially that Oda didn't show the results of the Galaxy Impact, possibly because like everybody's gonna be fine. And I'm like, okay, like I can't say that they're not fine because Oda didn't show it to us. So like, you know, it was that kind of thing. But he obviously knows that GARP very, very strong. But like the other side of it was he's a Shanks #1 kind of guy. And for me, I see it as all these characters are on the same tier. Shanks right now might be the #1, but like as we progress, there's going to be more characters, and like GARP showing out what he did right now, I wouldn't be surprised if, you know, Shanks might be able to beat him, but that doesn't mean like their power levels can't be matched up. You know what I mean? Like that's the way I'm seeing it. Like maybe Shanks outlasts GARP or something like that. Maybe Shanks has like a counter. I don't know. And then the extension of it was actually Dragon, because we talked a long time ago, and a lot of people don't think Dragon's gonna be strong, and for me, Dragon is gonna be like insane, like actually insane. So that was the entire conversation, right? Because like, you know, if you're like it's kind of like one camp. The people who downplay Dragon probably downplay GARP, probably downplay Bogart. Like they're all in the same kind of boat, and so I'm like fighting that boat. You know what I mean? We gotta sink that ship. Yeah, Oda's definitely trying to sink that ship with us too.
But to see Dragon showing like in a log town and come to the conclusion that he's weak from that, I don't know how you could possibly think that. Like that just doesn't make sense.
That's what I'm saying. Like I don't know what happens to people, but like, you know, I think like in the Blackbeard situation in chapter 1080, right? Like there's like a weird situation where he feels kind of dumb, right? Because Aokiji's just like self-reporting right in front of him, and he's like not getting it. And like Dragon's kind of in that boat right now for me in Egghead, because it's like Kuma's doing something, Vegapunk just called and said he's dying, and like Dragon's just like chilling on Kamabaka Kingdom. His like Sabo's just somewhere he doesn't know. Yet Dragon's like completely just like, yeah, like I'm chilling here. You know what I mean? Like I want him to do something, but that doesn't mean anything for his power. That's just like a weird thing Oda's doing right now, that he's doing to Blackbeard as well. He's done that with a lot of characters, to be fair, right? So it's one of those things, but like I need Dragon to be strong for sure.
What do you think Dragon's doing right now? Because I honestly think the revolutionaries could either go help Kuma or go to the Egghead or split up. Like, what do you think would happen?
So when Blackbeard was at 1079, we saw Blackbeard's ship going to Egghead. When I was scrolling like in the live reaction, I thought it was gonna be the Revs. Like I thought we were gonna see the Rev ships, and I was like pre-amped up. Because I saw like a transition. I saw the water, and I was like, oh, we're gonna see ships. We're gonna see. And then we saw Blackbeard. So I wasn't mad, but I was like, oh, okay, all right. Blackbeard's also here. Which, you know, to be fair, like we talked about it before on the Pirate Fest that on TikTok. Oh no, we talked in general about Blackbeard coming there. But you know, I just feel like at this point for the Revs to show up to Egghead, it's kind of like to me, I'm like, this is where I'm at. I'm like, how is Kizaru and Saint J still late? Like they were the ones who planned to come right after CP0, and like so many things have happened in between. Like Vegapunk could have escaped before they got here while CP0 landed, because they said that they were sending them to reinforce or back them up, and it's like, what kind of backup is this? So the Revs also show up in between. I'm like, all right, okay, this is the worst plan I've ever heard of. It's so bad. But Dragon showing up wouldn't be too crazy, but I feel like it's stuffing a lot into one arc, you know?
Well, what do you think is that like event that they're hyping up that like it happens at the end of Egghead?
There's so many different options. Like it could be like Void Sentry stuff. It could be like the Ancient Kingdom name, because like Vegapunk might know it since he has the Ohara stuff. It could be Vegapunk dying or something, right? Because like that would shock the world. It could be Blackbeard showing up with GARP'S head, right? Like he could actually just have killed GARP, and like, because that's something that we don't necessarily know, the timeline of 1080 versus 1079. It's not like we were given like is this current, is this past? Like we weren't exactly told, is it happening at the same time? And so Blackbeard could show up with GARP defeated, the hero of the Marines defeated. That would shock the world. It could be the Gorosei being defeated. It could be that the Gorosei beat Luffy. Like there's so many different shocking news, and like, you know, the worst take I've heard so far is that the news is that the Kid Pirates are eradicated, which is like, come on guys, that's not shocking anybody, right? Like everybody knew that was gonna happen, right? What do you think though for the news thing?
Well, like you said, one of the Gorosei, like Saint J Garcia being defeated, I think that could definitely be the case, because this is the first time they've even mobilized one of the Gorosei. So like it going wrong would probably be the event that like shocks the world. I feel like that would make sense. Or like you were saying, something having to do with Vegapunk could easily be the case. Like him revealing something about the Void Sentry, that would definitely pop off this arc.
Yeah. There's like, you know, when it comes to the Marines, we know so little about like how useful they are, right? Because like Buster Call's pointless, right? But they send 100 ships. Buster Call's like 5 ships, they send 100, so that's 20 times a Buster Call. And it's like, does that mean anything? Because there's 50 Mark III pacifistas just chilling on the edge of the island. It's like, can they get past that? And then we're introducing all these characters that are like, you know, the only notable characters, you know, Lucci's obviously already there. It's Saint J. Then there's Kizaru, and then I think there was one other person. Oh, Doll maybe is gonna be strong. I think there was someone above them that's like maybe they're gonna be important. But yeah, it's like I don't even know. There was a vice admiral there, a few of them.
I think there's a few, I want to say.
Yeah, it's like but at the end of the day, it's like we haven't been building up vice admirals, period, right? Like it's just I need something. And so that's actually a good question, because I asked you if Aokiji's in sword and whether he is or not. It's an interesting one, because like I see a world where he isn't. I'm leaning towards he is, but then it makes Blackbeard feel a little bit weirder if he is in it.
Yeah.
Garp, Garp being in sword. Do you think at this point Garp 100% in sword based off the chapter?
Yeah, I feel like it's the only thing that makes sense because like he's with all the sword members and two of the Marines he trained went in to go into sword. So it's like the only thing to assume basically. And he's in communications with sword even before he even left for Hachinosu. So like
Yeah.
I feel like
See, the thing, okay, so I'm gonna throw something out, and this is something I think I talked with Sai about. That was essentially like, I think that Garp doesn't need to be in sword, because no matter what, he would do the same thing. Like it doesn't matter like whether he had the clearance or not. It doesn't matter. Like it's like telling Luffy like, oh, we're in an alliance, right? It's like, what does that do for Luffy? It doesn't do anything, right? Like he'll do what he wants to do. So I think the other side of the sword thing is sword is kind of like a spy group. Like they have to be undercover, they have to have espionage. Garp is absolutely not that kind of a character, right? Like he couldn't hide a secret. Like he blurted out dragon, right? Like he was like, oh wait, hold on, I wasn't supposed to say that. And then he's like, that's like of all the secrets to keep in the world, a personal one should be the easiest one. So can he keep Navy world government secrets? I don't know, right? So I feel like it I don't think Garp needs to be in sword. And the important part is what you just said, right? He trained two sword members, Kobe and Helmeppo. So it's like, okay, if he's not in sword, right? Because his character doesn't make sense. He would honestly be a detriment to sword, because it's supposed to be a secret organization and he can't keep secrets. So who there's a natural best person to be one of the leaders in sword, and it's another person who also trained Kobe and Helmeppo, right? It would be Bogart, would it not? Like what is Bogart's entire theme? What is his aesthetic? It's a spy. He's like
yeah.
literally like a 70s like spy. It just fits. Oh my god, it's so interesting, because I feel like I know you already agree with that. I know you already love the idea, but like in terms of, this is a two-fanged question, right? I think it makes sense if Bogart is like an admiral of sword. Like he is that strong. Because we think that Garp in his like, I think a lot of people can now finally agree that like Garp would have just smoked Akainu at Marineford, especially because he was bloodlusted, right? Not that Akainu couldn't put up a fight if it was like, like a currently scaled fight. Like it's not like that. It's not like a no diff fight. But Garp is crazy, and if he was angry, he'd beat, like I don't think anybody would want to fight him. I don't think Akainu would want to fight him. And so if he's like above an admiral level, can't Bogart be at the admiral level? And he's just not there, because just like Garp refuses to become an admiral, wouldn't Bogart follow the same suit? He would just follow Garp. And then if everybody underneath Garp is going to sword, why not Bogart, right?
Yeah, it only makes sense for him to not accept ranks present to him if someone like if he's serving someone who refuses promotions, he probably would have to do the same thing just out of like respect for Garp. And I like that point that you said that he's an admiral of sword, because sword has like separate ranks than the actual like Navy HQ. If you look like, I think Kobe is just like a member of sword and he's a captain in Navy HQ, so that could like actually work.
Yeah, there's
Pretty good.
lieutenants, I think. There's Hibari is a captain, I think. And then Drake is a rear admiral, which implies that there is a normal admiral, because, like that's just how rankings goes. But we don't do we have a rank for Prince Groose? Like Prince Groose, I think, is also just like a random dude, I'm pretty sure. I'm not a random dude. Obviously he's the highest up on that thing, but he's not like an admiral or anything. Let me see. Let me see if they got on the One Piece wiki if they updated him already. He's on the same rank as Drake, which is wild that he's on the same rank as a worst gen. But like, yeah, that's all. He's at he's at Drake's level. I think the chat, keep the slander down, but like Drake isn't like, in the grand scheme of the world's power levels, he's not up there. And so it wouldn't make sense for Sword to stop there in terms of power levels, right?
Yeah.
Like if anybody thought Aokiji was in Sword, then like it clearly there's a possibility that there's someone above these characters. And if you don't think it's Aokiji, then who? Like, are we just gonna introduce a new person? Like, sure. Or we can introduce probably the best person in terms of like where like the orbit of the character, right? Like the character that has trained Sword members, character that's the next to Garp, who is acting like a Sword dude, a spy, first of all. Like, it's just there's too many things. Like, I feel like there's gonna come a time where a chapter is gonna come out and people are gonna be like, wait, who is this guy? But there are 200 plus people here. It's cultured, right? I think I'm pretty confident in terms of confidence level. Because there's copium, there's hopium, right? But like in terms of like, if you were to put money on it, how confident would you be in saying that like Bogart is gonna show up in a big way in the story?
In a big way, I don't know, because he's never really been like that. Like he's only ever had one panel in the foreground.
In a big way, I mean like Rayleigh level. Like that's like a confirmed kind of thing.
I don't know if I would bet that much money on that, because I'm not like that sure it's gonna happen. But what I am sure of, if there is a GARP flashback, which is like very probable, he's going to show up in that, because like it has to be authentic for him to show up. So like I do think that's definitely going to happen. But for him to show up in a big way in this arc, I'm not like 100% sure, but it could definitely happen in the next couple chapters if it does.
Yeah, that's it has to happen soon, that's for sure. I saw a chat from Knight. Sword must have a swordsman, so Bogart. That's actually true. I feel like I've watched you make a TikTok about that. It's like, hold on, Sword.
That proves the leader theory too. Like Sword origin is from a swordsman. It would just make sense. There's no other sword in Sword besides like Helmeppo. Really, X-Drake doesn't really count.
I can give some pushback on that, but it's like, I like it, so I won't say it. I'll say it, because CP0's named is Shield, like their Aegis, their shield, and not like, there's not like a character on there that is a shield. I mean, technically, Guernica, I think, right? He acted like a shield. He kind of just stood there and took Kaido's beat down, right? Like, so, it's kind of, it is there. But obviously, no, what were you gonna say?
No, I was just making a joke. I'm like, I like what you called him. He is the shield.
Yeah. Like technically, they're supposed to be the shield for the Celestial Dragons, but like CP0, I feel like CP0 walked so Sword could run. Like CP0, all right. This is a quick tangent. CP0, did they feel like a little bit of a letdown?
Yes, I thought they were going to be like King and Queen level at least, but they kind of let me down. Yeah.
Okay, wait, so I wonder how many people in chat think like CP0, like Lucci. A lot of people think Lucci could take like, King and Queen, or Kaku and Lucci could take King and Queen. Do you think so? No,
I don't think so.
It's interesting. I mean, we probably won't ever know, but I'd love for that to come back, because it's like such a slap in the face that they can't awaken, but then Kaku and Lucci just showed up, just long neck giraffe awakened, craziest thing. Lucci is Max, Yonko Commander too. That's interesting. It's interesting. So that is another thing that I want to we're how far are we in? Like 45-50 minutes in. There's a lot of people in here. Xavier here, someone earlier said I really like Xavier's laugh. It's really cute. I agree. So if you guys want to tune into more of that, Xavier goes live on TikTok pretty frequently, actually. Like maybe like once a week. I haven't been keeping. I'm in too many places to keep count of how often. But how often do you go live?
I try to once a week I try to go live. I'll talk about just like random shit or have like a list behind my face like other people.
Yeah, yeah. The like those of you guys who don't know TikTok stuff, like TikTok lives are probably one of my more favorite um parts of the community, like ways to interact with the community. You can interact way easier. Just it's just like super easy for the creator, super easy for the chatters. It's just there. It's super low key and ends up being a lot of fun. And so, what do you typically do on those lives?
Well, sometimes like I mean, I got this idea from like many other people, but I'll have like a list of opinions or whatever that are like controversial and I know are gonna start shit. Or like I'll have a like a versus thing like GARP versus Whitebeard at Marineford or something like that,
Mm-hmm.
just to like get the ball rolling, on discussion.
Yeah, yeah. You end up. The thing is, you. I would say in terms of opinions and perspectives on like power scaling or narrative stuff, you're pretty stable when it comes to that. But your chat can spit out some like I'm crazy and I've read your chat and I'm like whoa. But if you guys like are enjoying the conversation like Xavier, make sure, and you guys have TikTok, which by the way, I know there was a lot of fear mongering about the TikTok ban, but that it's not happening. It's like that was just like publicity, which made TikTok even bigger, which is actually wild. But definitely go follow. Thank you, Phantom, for linking Xavier's TikTok.
Thanks.
Yeah, because I always show up, or I try my best to show up for a little bit, just to see what's going on. Keep a pulse on the community, get the latest Bogard news. Um, yeah,
Thank you.
yeah, that's important. Keeping the pulse on Bogard. August on the Twitch chat says headcanon is that Kobe and Luffy are Garp's and Roger's parallel, but inverted. In that Kobe is gonna die to inspire a new age of Marines. That's maybe Smoker could die, but like he doesn't have that rep. But like Garp is gonna die, right? Like you think Garp is gonna die? Yeah.
By the end of the series, he's not going to be alive. No way.
Yeah.
I don't know about this arc, but by the end of the series, yeah.
Yeah. So a lot of you guys might be surprised about that. If you guys listened to my conversation with King of Lightning, you guys would know my perspective. I have a video. It's a 45-minute video that after the stream I will complete and then I'll post. And despite everything I say about Garp, that Garp is him, that Garp is Shanks level, Garp is this guy, right? This is why Garp is like this. Everything, despite all that, he's still gonna die. It's just like that's just how stories go. Like the question isn't how, like the question isn't like if, it's when. It's going to happen, unfortunately. Like that, it's just like his character is a death flag. It's not even like he's done anything that's a death flag. No, he is the death flag. The moment he came back in 1071 and was just like, I'm going after Blackbeard or whatever, yeah, it's like he's not beating Blackbeard. That just doesn't make sense, right? Like it's just whew.
Well, I don't even know if you think Blackbeard, like, what do you think Blackbeard's even doing? You think he's going to Hachinosu or Egghead? Like, what is he even up to?
It is an odd thing, right? Because right in current time in 1080 he's not there, but neither is Van Augur. Van Augur has the warp fruit, so like let's say you call somebody and then you make a few phone calls and Van Augur's like, all right, bet, and then he warps them back, right? Like that could, like, depending on that fruit, you could change a lot of things with Van Augur, because we don't even know how far he could warp, right? Like he shot a bird that wasn't even visible apparently in Jaya, like pre-time skip. That was a feat before the Straw Hats made it. Yeah, like Chopper's just like, huh, how did this bird get shot? I can't see shit. And then Usopp's like, huh, there's no islands. I guess it's like, you know what I mean? I guess it's just raining bullets, and then a ship falls down from the sky, and they're like, all right, they just got distracted. I don't remember what happened first, but like it's just wild that was a pre-time skip Van Augur. Now you add up the warp fruit, it's like, okay, cool. Like I don't know what he's capable of.
But to me, that's like one of the best character introductions you could have. Like to have a feat like that, just randomly to introduce a character like that. That was just so dope. He's one of my favorite Blackbeard pirates just because of that.
Yeah, like if you feel like Van Augur or Yasop is above Van Auger, right? Like Van Auger can apparently perceive things out of his vision, which would make it so that Yasop technically could have watched Usopp his entire life and just didn't care about ever going back to him. Like I don't know how far high, like Yasop has to be that like super far up there. I feel like I don't know if like because for me the way I see the Blackbeard pirates, even now there's an asterisk, but I see it like the devil fruit is going to make it so that you know, Van Auger can be relevant to that level, right? Like not necessarily beat Yasop type of character. Maybe he can, maybe I'm wrong, but like I feel like Yasop, like especially in this volume 4 billion in that card, it like painted him out to be like a terrifying dude, right? Like he was called the Chaser, and like it said like people are scared of him and shit, and I was like, okay Yasop, you know.
But you know who first talked about that nickname, the Chaser?
No.
This man right here
No.
in a scrap post Denny's lobby. Him and Garp were telling Usopp about Yasop. They're saying like, oh, he's this like powerful warrior in the New World. His name is the Chaser. It's a scrap page though.
Ooh, hold on. You see, your hockey's so strong. Like I don't believe a lot of people, but you know what? I believe you. I'm not gonna even ask. I'm not gonna fact check that 100%. I remember chapter 430, 433. If you guys want to know, that's where it's at.
Well, it's not actually in the chapter. You have to look up scrapped Usopp Garp page, and you'll find it. And then there could be a translation of it. I don't know.
Oh my goodness. That's the thing with One Piece sometimes. It's a sad thing because I wanted Shaki to be in the Rocks Pirates, but there was that like long running like fan art thing that put Shaki in like the Rocks like silhouette stuff, and I was like, you know, now that she was confirmed in the Kuja Pirates, I don't know if that like counters the Rocks Pirate thing, but like when she was saying like, oh, Garp has been chasing me, which by the way, if Garp was chasing Shaki, that means Bogard was probably in tow as well. So you know, Bogard has some Amazon Lily connections, just throwing it out there. And Ethan Cook says, wait, he's not even joking. You doubted this? Listen, I didn't doubt him. Why would you doubt him? Hello, Ethan? Question marks.
Oh, but Shaki, I feel like still is part of the Rocks Pirates even after being revealed that she was like a former empress, because in an SBS with Oda, someone asked like, why what's this deal with like Garp or something? Why did he ask why were they talking about like Garp chasing Shaki? And he like was really ambiguous about it in the answer. He made it like hella like sneaky. So I don't know. I feel like she could still be a part of Rocks, but that fan art did such damage to the community.
Yeah.
Just like people were a part of the Rocks.
Yeah, it's funny because on YouTube, I feel like as a community, at least my community, but from what I've seen, that one didn't, from my perspective, because I joined pretty late, like a lot of people saw through that. But on TikTok is where you have to fight so much misinformation about like everything. Like there's right now on TikTok, the most absurd thing is trending, where it's like this made up like Oda fact, which obviously is not just a TikTok thing, it's a Reddit thing, it's a everywhere thing, it's a life thing, but it's the one where it's like Oda said that if Luffy ordered Zoro to kill a Straw Hat, he would, and everyone's just like, oh, it's Sanji 100%, and they're just like clipping things. I'm like, oh my goodness, and it's like getting hundreds, millions of views, and I'm like, this is ridiculous. This is actually, and then, you know, cultured people like Xavier have to do the work of God right now, sit on a live and entertain like these doofuses that come in and then just combat his takes. And it's like, well, Oda said that Zoro would kill Sanji, and it's like, wait, that wasn't even the misinformation. You just added your own thing. Oh my, yeah, it's just crazy how many things spawn out of. But you're like 100% the Shaki one. That truthfully, it's not like the worst one. It was just like in conversation, it was kind of like it wasn't the greatest thing, because it's like, this is fake, you know, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Let's see. Oh, there's a few more super chats piled up. Let me get to them. So, Axty Charlotte, he became a member and I didn't read what you wrote. It says we need to see Boj, Boji. Oh my God, is that the character Sai made up? Smoke, Bonnie, Smoker, Bonnie, Yarouge, Kuma, and Saturn. Yeah, wait, who's Boj? Boge. Am I like tripping? Boge. I should know who that is or not know who that is. But I agree. We need to see all of them. I mean, yeah, Kuma out of the Kuma and Saturn out of the list. Those are the priority right there for sure.
I love that. I want to know more about his race. Like, what is the deal with that? That is weird.
That is a weird one. I think in the officials they said like it wasn't necessarily a race. It was like a special people. Like it was like a separate thing. But that could also like it wouldn't be the first time the Viz also misguided us, right? So it could be a race. I'm currently thinking it's like a special people, and the reason why I think that's the case is because it might be like it might be that Kuma is, and this is something I thought about from the like when we got this, is that like Lunarians, when we got Vegapunk, they renamed them essentially Seraphim. And Seraphim is biblical for the angels, right? And when the angels and humans, like the angels fell and the humans procreated, they created the Nephilim. The Nephilim were, there's two directions of translations for it. One is that they were really abnormally strong people, or they were just straight up just giants. And so Kuma kind of fits both pictures, right? He's kind of a giant dude, and he's also just abnormally strong, which is something like with Vegapunk specifically is just like the oddest thing, right? Because he had Kaido, experimented on him, but Kuma was the like, oh my God, your body, like he was like risen up Kuma for some reason, right? When he had Kaido, and he also had King, so he had a Lunarian and he had an Oni, but Kuma was the one.
Oh, yeah.
So
that's crazy insight. Damn.
Yeah, so then like for me, the reason why Kuma being like a hybrid person is important is because maybe Lunarians, like that might be a part of the reasons why they became extinct, right? Like they might be a race that can't exactly procreate with normal humans. Like fishmen can. Minks, we didn't get any confirmed thing. I imagine we can because I had a theory video about that. But Lunarians, we don't have any confirmation, right? If they can't, that could be what like Vegapunk was studying, and then when it came to making the Seraphim, maybe it wasn't, that's not his like end stage picture, right? Because we know it's Stussy was like a prototype in a lot of ways, and they just added bat wings, and I'm kind of sitting there like, did they just like read like a textbook on Lunarians and they said black wings, like they messed up the skin color, they just messed up like so many different things, and then when it got to Lunarians, he's like, damn it, I can't make hybrids, so I'll just do a 1-to-1 with Lunarians. You know what I mean? Like I don't know where we're going with it, but Kuma still is like outside of that, so I don't really know. Do you have any like insight on that with Kuma?
I mean, I never thought of anything like that he would be like a hybrid. That's a really good theory. I just thought he was like a whole different race.
Yeah,
because then like races back from being revealed,
and that you actually wanted, you brought this up before we got in the conversation. I'm on the boat that there's not going to be, like, if there are races, it's like Eam could be like a race, right? Like there's not that many characters I care to be like an outside race, and so I feel like with the races that we got, those are the races. Like the only one we have really left to learn about, are like the Onis, but the Three-Eyed Tribe primarily, right? Like that's, and Lunarians obviously, but the Three-Eyed Tribe. So in that context, right, that led me to make like the buggy video. And which buggy video were you talking about in terms of the one that you wanted to bring up? Because I have two of them.
The Rocks one.
Oh, the Fraud Valley one. Okay. Got you. Okay. So that's a different gear. But hit me with it. What'd you think about that video? How did it make you feel? Because a lot of people, it's a controversial one.
Well, like I think it's definitely like a good theory, but I'm just one of the people who thinks Rocks is like one of the strongest people ever. So like it just doesn't really work with with what I believe. But the reason I think that is because of like his data book statement where it literally states like he's Roger's strongest adversary. you know?
Yeah. So I'm gonna make a part 2 on that. So in that initial video, you could very clear, like, I'm pretty sure I said it out loud in the video where I was like, I'm gonna address this later on because, like, I didn't want to get into the power scaling and like devil fruit or hockey side of things yet. And it was a good call because then we got Shanks and then we got GARP showing it. So now I can recontextualize that because that gives a whole new context to what people say is Kaido's top 5, right? The thing is, that is a headcanon. Kaido did not say that. He said that people who are strong enough, people who can damage him, right? But that doesn't, like, I think that Rox is a strong character. I think that Buggy is just like when I say that Rox is a Buggy-like character, there are so many parallels in One Piece that aren't one-to-one, right? Like you could say Luffy's a parallel of so many characters, but that doesn't mean that those characters are a one-to-one to Luffy. That's just not a thing, right? Like we have reverse parallels, you know, and so many versions of that where it's like this character shares a personality with it. This character shares like a power side of it. This character is the blending of two characters, right? Like we get so many of that. And so when I say like a Buggy-like character, I'm talking about in the Road to Laugh Tale, one thing that I'm pretty sure it was translated as this. It was that Rox was Roger's most formidable opponent. And the thing is, that word formidable to me, the only time that I remember Oda using the word formidable in all of One Piece was when Mihawk said that the most formidable power in One Piece is the ability to get allies on your side. That is what he said about Luffy, and that was formidable. And that's what made Luffy have the most formidable power. So like that alone like is incredibly like crazy. Like if you are a kind of person that just bring people to your side, that alone is crazy. Why? Because like if you were to put it in Buggy's perspective, you have Law, who doesn't know Buggy, just reads the newspaper and thinks Buggy is cracked because he sees Mihawk and Crocodile underneath him, right? Obviously Buggy didn't get them in a legitimate way, but if you were a character that like was like a Luffy kind of character that brought people together, it's like you could blend Luffy's personality or Buggy's like you know, a side of Buggy and then like a power perspective of some other character, and then you get a Rox type of character. And the thing about Kaido's top 5, or what people call top 5, now it has to be in huge question because we know Garp was at God Valley, we know Kaido was at God Valley, and if this is what Kaido or Garp can do in 1080 or chapter 1080, then it's like, why isn't Garp a person that can damage or hurt Kaido, right? Like it's one of those things where it's like, okay, Oda didn't want us to show us that, but it's like he put Shanks there, right? Like he put Shanks
like those people that Kaido is like hyping up aren't really like, it's not his top 5 for sure, but I've seen a great theory where he thinks those people are like Joy Boy candidates, which would make sense in the context of everything.
Okay, so that's the, I'm glad you said it like that, because that is one of the perspectives I can have, where if you think about Luffy, right, who would you consider his rivals, right? Like off of Wano, it would be Law and Kid. They were all going for the same thing, and look what happened to Kid after Shanks, right? Like Kid is a rival, and you could like if you had to choose between Kid and Law, a lot of people would choose Kid in terms of like if those are Luffy's rivals, then Kid would be his strongest rival in that context. Obviously we know that outside of that that's not true, but that's what's super interesting about that Kaido, you know, those characters, if they're characters that were going for the One Piece, Pirate King, one top of the world government, all of those contexts, right? Then that's a whole different perspective. Those are people who have the same ambition as Kaido. And so in the same light, it's like, you know, Rox and Roger could have had that same storyline where it's these two characters that were going for the same thing, but doesn't necessarily mean that Rox himself was strong. Why? Because he had Whitebeard, Shiki, and this entire crew. It doesn't matter. Like Rox could be a potato, and that crew is still the most formidable opponent, right? Like, there's no way. Like Rox literally doesn't need to be strong for that entity to be a major problem for Roger. If they were aiming for the One Piece, then yeah, 100%. Even without Rox, you're telling me Whitebeard, Shiki, Wang Ji, Big Mom, like all of these characters in one boat, yeah, that's a problem for anybody. And so the major thing that I come back to is what is said in the manga of like a lot of people say, yeah, the greatest or the strongest thing. In the manga, what was translated was Rox was uh Roger's first and perhaps his greatest foe. First was the most important thing, which came like is really important because I think you saw my short about that, which technically Buggy is Luffy's first foe, and if it scales up to you know the last saga where he has Mihawk, he has Crocodile, he has Crossgill, people are adding Boa, people are adding Moria. There's so many theories of how many people are adding to Crossgill. That's crazy. You add all those people onto Buggy's crew, yeah, like Shanks isn't like Shanks is going to be a Luffy like opponent maybe, but he's not like going to stop Luffy, you know what I mean? Like he's trying to push Luffy there. Buggy's trying to stop Luffy, Blackbeard's trying to stop Luffy, but Buggy was first, not Blackbeard. And so
I do think Shanks is going to be an antagonist to Luffy though, because he's going for the One Piece.
yeah, for sure. I see I see it as like it's gonna be a character that Luffy has to overcome rather than defeat, right? Like in terms of all the antagonists, he had to destroy their dreams. Whereas Shanks's point is his dream is Luffy, and he's like basically like, but you need to beat me for my dreams to be fulfilled, right? Like that's kind of how I see it.
So do you think he finally went for the One Piece now because he knows like Luffy is ready to fight him?
I don't think I don't think he thinks Luffy's ready to fight him, but he's starting to get there. Like he's like he can see how strong Shanks is because like again, let's say Luffy got hit with Divine Departure pre-Wano. Luffy didn't know what he got hit with by Kaido. It took him like 100 chapters to figure out that, oh, you're putting conquerors into your attacks, right? Like so if Luffy didn't understand that, getting beat his ass whooped by Kaido, yeah, nothing that Kaido Shanks did would be like understandable for Luffy, right? Even when Shanks uses Conqueror's Haki on Green Bull, like Luffy's like, huh, a face came into mind. He doesn't understand what that power is necessarily yet, right? So that's how I see it, where it's like the same thing with you know, when Moria said Luffy's not ready for the new world, he wasn't. Why? Because he didn't know Haki, right? Rayleigh showed him Haki, and the thing is, if any feats in the new world, like if Doflamingo used Haki on Luffy, he'd just lose and be like, huh, what happened, right? He'd be so confused. He needed Rayleigh to be the carrier there, and I think that Shanks is going to be in connections to that bridge to raising Luffy up. I think the Rogers Pirates were supposed to be that. I want Scopper to come back for that very reason, but I feel like it'd be weird to do that. So I think
I've seen a great theory about Scopper, like that each Roger Pirate has been like at the entrance of a certain point in the Grand Line. Like Crocus was at Reverse Mountain, Rayleigh was at Sabaody, the entrance to the New World, and then people have said that maybe Scopper will be on like Lodestar Island or maybe even Laughtail. But I think that's a good theory. Like the Roger Pirates like guarding each like kind of position to the final like One Piece, you know?
No, yeah, I like that. I had that was a thing that I had too, where it's like Crocus, Rayleigh, all those things, but then you add the certain things that they said like indirectly about Shanks. Like it was super odd that they did these certain things, and at the end of the day, what you have to realize is you know, if these guys were like kind of like relaxing, chilling, and they were waiting for an inspiration, well, if they see their captain's hat and Shanks's hat on somebody, they're gonna start acting differently, right? Like for example, like there's in the video I pointed out, like Crocus technically is the reason why Luffy went on the path he did. He gave him his their log posts. Like he gave Luffy his log posts. Like that's just like if there was any way to manipulate somebody on a path, it's giving them a log pose, right? And it's like if you were ever like, you know, in that video I was saying like, you know, it could have been an indirect thing or a direct thing where it's like Crocus was holding on to this thing, waiting for the time where the right person came through. And I think afterwards he was like, oh yeah, these guys, like they seem interesting. There was like a few words that he talked about. Like he told them about Laughtail first of all. Like how many people is he telling about Laughtail? That's like a random thing to just like tell people about, right? Like because nobody really knows about Laughtail, right? like when you really think about that, he can't just be telling every person that he interacts with about Laugh Tale. Yeah, he's hiding in Laboon, but like did he tell Brooke about Laugh Tale? I don't think so, right?
Definitely did.
Oh no, he couldn't have told Brooke because it was before. Brooke was before. I forgot Brooke was before Crocus left for Roger. He joined Rogers to find Brooke, which is kind of hilarious. But
Yeah. Forgot
yeah,
about that.
yeah. Like the Crocus log posting is this a shoe in, and then yeah, with Rayleigh, it's like, oh yeah, like in order to get to the New World, like you have to be you have to have your ship coded. It's like, what a perfect profession to have to as a person being there. Like of all the professions you could choose, it's the person that can send you into the New World. It's kind of coinky dink if you ask me. And it also seems kind of odd. Oh, what were you saying? Sorry.
Saying like because of the prophecy, you know, like 20 years later, they know that like someone's gonna come to actually like acquire the One Piece, like Roger was saying. So like that's probably why they're so prepared. But you know that.
Yeah, like that, like when I had that theory, it was like maybe 2021, I believe. So many people were like, no way Shanks is this kind of character, no way, blah blah. But then like we constantly are getting like he's keeping track of so many things, like he's keeping tabs on Blackbeard, and it's like I wouldn't be surprised if like Blackbeard is calculating, right? Luffy's not calculating. So that's an example of one of those like, yeah, like they're might be going for the One Piece and they might be parallels of a similar ambition. They might even share the same dream, but they go about it completely differently, right? Like Luffy just ends up where he's at and just saves people on accident because he just shows up and they just need liberation. Whereas Blackbeard chooses where he goes. Blackbeard is like, I'm doing this for this XYZ reason. And so like I feel like if Luffy doesn't have that, Shanks might, right? Like that would make sense to separate it out like that. I see that One Piece talk coming in with a $10 super chat says, there's people in life you get to meet that are extraordinary. Max is one of them. Guy's a star. ParVision, did you forget to do your squats this morning? Remember your dump truck goal? Yo, I was saying much of the same thing about Max, right? Like about Xavier Wolfan here. I'm just, you know, obviously you go by Max, but if they need to find you on TikTok, I'm trying to get Bogart to like #1 on the hashtag list. I'm trying to get Bogart in the story, and you know, we're actually here. Let me see. There's a few super chats, and then there's a good transition into something I want to bring up about Bogart. And I know you'll agree to it, but I need you to like contextualize it. I need you to like, it wouldn't be right if I made videos about it. Honestly, like I've been avoiding making like acting like I'm the Bogart guy. You know what I mean? Like, and
you can go ahead.
I mean, if you give me the rights, but it still doesn't feel right. You know what I mean? Like every single time I the only way it would make sense, because truthfully, not that I wasn't on the Bogart hype train. Bogart wasn't necessarily like, when I came across your channel, I was just like, this is dope. This is dope. I never thought about this character like this. And like now that you said the things you said, like all those years or in 2021, I'm like, I can't unthink it. I want it. You know what I mean? Like as much as I want elemental hockey, I need Bogart to be like that, and I'll explain why in a second. So Mr. Bushido, €2 says, Eva was GARP student, Galaxy Fist and Galaxy Wink. I think it's a little bit different. I think Dragon might have a Galaxy move, because Dragon, and this is why I think Dragon has elemental hockey, because you can't teach devil fruit powers, but you can teach hockey. And so if the wind was related to hockey, which we know is a thing now, Shanks has a fire sword, wind wouldn't be that crazy. Lightning, we've been seeing throughout the series. Wind is super important because, well, you'll know when I post my GARP video, but Dragon, I've not been quiet about that because Sabo has dragon breath. You can't teach devil fruit powers, but he has a wind-based move. Ivankov also winks his eye, and then there's an air blast, right? Another thing you can't teach. So if Sabo has a dragon breath move and Ivankov has a galaxy move, I wouldn't be surprised if Dragon has like dragon galaxy, like supreme thunder, right? Like I don't know. That's the way I see it. That's what I see coming from Dragon.
when Shanks uses Conquerors hockey on Green Bull, I don't know if you remember, but like I'm pretty sure he changed the weather there, if I'm not mistaken. Like when he like made the clouds like
It's
all
a
I don't
hard
know what. Yeah.
it's hard to say because from memory, Shanks is outside of Wano, and we know Wano is always storming outside of it, but in Wano is different. So you might be right if you look at Aramaki's side of it. I don't, from memory, I don't know, but you could be very well be right, which would be kind of, like, hey, hockey can do a lot of things. We still need to know what the storms thing is about. Like the D brings the storms, right? So it's like when Roger clashed Rashiki, random storm. When Luffy was about to get executed, random storm. When Mihawk was gonna kill Don Krieg, random storm. There's like this storm aspect. Now Zoro's dad is named Storm. Like, what are we doing with the storm thing? Something has to come from it. 100%. Dragons, like Kaido. Apparently he's like, think about this, guys. His passive, like if you're a gamer, you know what this means, but his passive ability is storms. He needs to bring flame clouds into existence, and Boro Breath's the thing, and then he's a dragon, but passively he's just bringing storms. Like, what is that about? Like, there's something there. There's something there with hockey. There's something there with like the thematic that Oda's trying to do. I wouldn't sleep on that for sure.
I think it has something to do with like how Conquerors hockey splits the clouds. I think Conquerors hockey affects the weather. I feel like that's got to be the case.
100. I'm with you. I'm with you. Hey, like on my side of things, like anything hockey related, going to elements, going to storms, going to nature, I'm your guy. That's my agenda. Feed me all of that stuff.
Our culture when it comes to that. That elemental hockey, when I first heard that, my mind was blown. I was like, okay, this is definitely the case.
It's crazy how many people I'm pretty sure I met like literally everybody from that theory, and that was like one of my first videos. And I was just like this random dude, just like, oh, okay, cool. And then like that One Piece talk I met from that video, I met you, I met like Mosh DMC, met so many people off of that one. So I appreciate that compliment. Let's see. Okay, Mr. Bushido, he has an agenda too. Drake and Carrot for Straw Hats not giving up on this part. I've said my length about it. How does that make you feel, Xavier? Drake and Carrot. Drake and Carrot. Yeah.
I mean, that just doesn't make sense. He's still a Marine. Like, I don't think that makes sense. Carrot makes a little bit more sense, but I feel like she kind of has to. Isn't she like indebted to the Zoe now? So I don't think she can.
She could have abandoned them, right? Like Vivi stayed, but maybe Carrot leaves. You know what I mean? Like she could be the bad egg, but who knows? Who knows? I could see it both ways. The way I see it is, end of the story, everyone's on Straw Hat's crew. Like literally everyone's going to be wearing a straw hat. That like, so like I can't say Mr. Bushido is wrong, because I feel like it's gonna be right at the end of the series, and then he's gonna come at me like, see, I told you, and it's like, sure, okay, fine, like everyone's a straw hat, you win, you know what I mean? So whatever.
What about the Enel becoming a straw hat theory? Have you seen that?
I've heard Enel coming back to the story, but not Enel becoming a straw hat. What the hell? What is that? Who? Send me that TikTok if that's a TikTok. That's crazy.
I've just seen it in my TikTok live comments before, which get pretty wild. I've seen it a couple times, so it's not. I don't know what it's based off of. I've just like.
I need to know where your viewers, not your viewers, that's disrespectful. I'm so sorry I said that. I need to know where those people come from, because I generally have like, people come to me and they're like, oh, this theory, and I know which creator spun it. I know a TikTok. I saw the TikTok. The people in your chat, they say the things I've never heard. And that's how batshit crazy it is. It's like, if I've never heard of it, that's saying something. I'm like on TikTok, on YouTube, like the creators are like, people send me their theories and I try to read all of them, sure, but like and I'm open-minded and like, bro, the things that are said in your lives go to a whole nother level.
In general, like a lot of them are just like, not only do they come up with some just like wild theories, but they also can't really separate their headcanon from like actual like definitive facts. So they'll state stuff like that Zoro thing. Like they'll just state it as fact when it's
Yeah.
just like never like
Oh, it is like Par is not open minded. Listen, guys, you need to go to one of these lives and just lurk. Don't talk because you'll influence these people. But like it makes Mihawk as a sword seem like a completely tame theory, and I say that sometimes to be out of pocket. Sometimes I say that to like get a reaction, but I can't get a reaction because there's people saying crazier things than that, and I'm like, how do you go crazier than me? Like that doesn't even make sense. Oh man, it's so wild. It's so wild. I need to know, people, those people. Friend Harper, listen. I'm not the one to discriminate, but like there is a bucket of people where it's literally only his live. I've been on so many TikTok people, and he's literally been on so many collabs, like on duets, whatever. They don't show up. It's literally when you go solo that they just wild out, and I'm like, what? Where did they come from? It's so cool and bad.
I've been trying to think of like a certain one. I think one person said like Lafitte is Big News Morgan's, but that's not even like the most wild one I've gotten. That's like kind of tame compared to the other ones. I'm trying to think. Like some can get really, really bad.
Okay,
I don't know why they're so confident.
Like there's a theory that Big News Morgan's is a Rogers pirate, that Mr. Bushido actually made that, and O'Hara shouted at that one out. I like that. I like the idea that Big News Morgan's is a Roger pirate. Cool. There's theories that Big News Morgan's is hiding. That all of that makes sense. On the other side, I'm also on this boat despite me not making a video specifically on this, but I like the idea that Hattori is Lafitte. But that's as far as craziness goes, because Lafitte being Big News Morgan's, that's just like, I'm pretty sure they've been in this, like, as crazy as it is, I feel like they've been in the same chapter at the same time.
Yeah, they probably have. But the Lafitte Hattori theory does make some sense because like when the Blackbeard pirates came and attacked the revolutionaries, what stopped that fight from like continuing more was Cypherpole showing up. So maybe there was like a little run-in with like the actual Hattori and Lafitte. Or maybe they've always been the same character. Who knows? I don't know. But like
I like my mods know I actually have an entire theory scripted out, and I've seen some people make shorts, some people make some videos, but I don't think they have been as like in depth where like I like I wanted this to be one of those theories where nobody can give pushback on, and so I went super far back, as far as even like where people were born, that kind of thing. And there's two things that separate out. I think Lafitte and Hattori both have birthdays. And they're different. I'm not sure about that, but that's not something that couldn't be changed. And the thing that there's one other thing is that I don't want to leak just yet, because I have the thumbnail for it. I just, obviously, if like Shanks is murdering Kid and Garp is murdering Islands, like I'm not gonna prioritize Lafitte Hattori video as much as I want to. I just can't, right? Like, I have a 45-minute Garp video. It's like I can't stall out for that one. But there is that thing where literally I went through the timeline of both throughout the entire series, and it actually does, except for one thing, but there's a way that theory works around where it makes sense. And I'm like, yo, the fact that Hattori is just missing on Egghead, and then we have the Blackbeard ship, I'm like, I'm not against it. I'm absolutely not against this at all. Like Hattori could be York's confidant. You know what I mean? Like York could have been communicating to Hattori this entire time, and that would make all of it make sense, as wild as it sounds, because of like, how does York get into contact with this? How do you just Den Mushi the Celestial Dragons, right? Like, yeah, maybe Vegapunk has that, but like it seems like maybe that's something Cypherpole, right? Because we know Cypherpole actually has communicated with the Celestial Dragons. We haven't known that Vegapunk, like I don't think Vegapunk has been in communication with Cypherpole itself, because then you wouldn't have the mix-up between Stella and all the Cypherpole agents being missing, right? It would just be a simple phone call away and be like, hey, where's our ship? That didn't happen apparently, and it escalated, right? So like there's multitude of ways that you can make it make sense. I'm not explaining the best way possible because this theory just fell onto the lap, but the Hattori thing, I could see it. I mean, there's a reason why we've been Luffy has day one been respecting Hayato. You know, he's Luffy only does that for special characters. So, but let me jump back to some of these super chats and then get to the one of the most important questions about Bogart that I have.
Okay.
Because it honestly, well, one once I get like this camera setup fixed, but it honestly makes me want to have like another full this is how your channel and my channel come together, honestly. But let me read this out. Friend Harper, $10 super chat, says there are 20 kingdoms, and besides fishmen, they are all humans. How many non-human? Whoa. let's not be disrespectful to fishmen. Fishmen can have human, offspring. Everybody equal rights. All right, let's just throw it out there. How many non-human races do you think there are? 20 maybe. Is D-Clan potentially a race? What do you think about that, actually?
What was that last part? He said, is what a race?
He said, is the D-Clan potentially a race rather than like just a clan? Maybe they're a tribe of people, which isn't that crazy?
I never thought about that. That's kind of a wild idea. I think the races besides humans are obviously fishmen, minks, lunarians. Oni, I feel like is definitely a race with like Kaido and stuff. Then there's giants. I feel like it's separate from the Oni, but like still like derived from the same thing. And then that's 5. There could be the 3-eyed tribe, and then there could be a 7th, I guess. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, like, some of those are human in a sense, but it's like where, like, I guess we have to figure out where humans came up from first, right? But the D-Clan thing, it actually connects back to the Lunarian, the Kuma comment. It's a so I have a video on my channel with Big Mom, and so they're, depending on the Oni and Lunarian origins, I think that they might be connected rather than separate. And they might be two sides of one coin, but or the same coin. And so when I said Kuma is like a hybrid Lunarian, right? The thing about Lunarian is it's moon people, right? Technically, that's what you derive the name to. And so if you were a hybrid moon person, you're half a moon, and that would make the D, right? So that's where I was going with that. Like I've said that a few times. I think I said it mostly on streams, but then it's like weird. Like, is Kuma a D-Clan then? Why isn't he a D-Clan? It's like, did some people get separated? Like, it's definitely a weird thing, but I do see like the D-Clan being like symbolic like that, where it's like something related to the moon, and then there's like hybrids of that or something like that. So, not too sure though. Not too sure. Let's see. There's another super chat from Baldy Cornell. There are 10 crew members part about the YouTube people. I promise I'll bring it up on a solo stream. I don't want to bring it up while like I'm streaming with somebody, because then like it's a whole derailment of, because also Xavier's from TikTok too. So it's like, honestly, I would want to bring TikTok creators into the crew, to be fair, because most of them are like, I'm really tight with a lot of the TikTok community too. So I will remember that, Baldy Cornell. I will remember it. Don't use. Oh, what was that?
What are you talking?
They were wondering who I would draft onto my crew from content creators. So yeah. But I got an agenda to push right now, and that agenda is more important than my crew. And so the probably the last thing, and I think a good jumping point was, or I guess it's asking you, because I haven't had this conversation with you, and I don't know where the TikTok community is at, but I felt, and I shared with it, that Shanks after Wano said that Luffy and the New Era were saplings. And so the reason why that's important is because Rayleigh on Sabaody, right, before the time skip, before all that stuff, he called them buds that didn't even sprout yet. And so you get this like analogy that as Luffy or we go through the series, there are these seeds that grow, and at Rayleigh's point they didn't even sprout. When they got to Shanks, they're saplings now. They did sprout. They're new leaves is what the official translations or the direct translation would be. And so my synthesis of it is there's also like a line of like when Ivankov refers to Dragon, and Luffy says the apple didn't fall far from the tree. And I think that the characters Shanks, Garp, Dragon, Mihawk, they're trees. Even Kaido is a tree compared to Luffy. And I can say that because I think it's not controversial to say that that Gear 5 Luffy, probably still doesn't solo Kaido, right? Like, he probably gets close. It's probably closer than he'd ever could be, but I don't know if he completely solos it, if Kaido's not holding up an island, if there's nobody running interference, if Kaido actually cares about actually killing him rather than drowning him and just leaving him up on the rooftop to revive for some reason. If he doesn't do shit like that, then yeah, Kaido wins. So he's a tree. And the reason why that's important is because I think a lot of people saw Onigashima as the peak of power, but I saw, especially when Shanks said that Luffy and everybody on his level are nowhere near where we need to be for the last saga. We're gonna get some insane levels of powers. And an example of that, yes, Shanks, Garp, Mihawk, Dragon, but the other thing is none of them have devil fruits. Or I included Dragon there. The reason why I include Dragon there is because I feel like there's that trend, right? Like Mihawk, Shanks, Garp, they don't have devil fruits. Dragon's another mysterious character that has not been mentioned in the same light, and is yet still to be like is on this pedestal. I think it would make sense for him to not have a devil fruit, for him to have a hockey power, and in the light of Shanks demonstrating what he did as an introduction, right? Because you don't think Divine Departure is the max level. You don't think the Galaxy Impact is the max level. So if there's higher than that, do you think Dragon is there? Or where do you see Dragon at?
Well, Dragon's like 55, so he's technically like, you could kind of look at him as like a prime Garp, basically. Like, he's essentially a prime Garp because he's Garp's son and he's 55 years old. So, like, and he's the world's worst criminal. That man is definitely up there for sure.
And so in terms of elemental hockey, I know you like the theory, but where do you see yourself on the spectrum with Dragon? Do you think Dragon has a devil fruit? What kind? Do you think that it could be elemental hockey? Do you think it's both? What do you see for Dragon?
Well, I think he could have a devil fruit, but I think him just having like immensely powerful hockey could easily also make sense. And like for this end game of all these people showing how strong their hockey is, like Shanks and Garp, I feel like he would definitely fit into that, like having a pirate show their power, then a marine, then a revolutionary. And it also fit into like Kaido hyping up hockey at the end of Wano, like 1047, saying it can transcend all. So now we're going in and seeing like how hockey can actually do this. It would make sense.
Yeah, no, like 100%. And the thing is, that's why we connect a lot, because there's a lot of people, even on TikTok, that I could go and say that and they don't really see that. It doesn't make sense to them. But like, you can see that, and I can see him having a Zoan fruit, sure. But the thing is, it's like, I think honestly, if I were to be like, people say they want him to have a devil fruit, and Storm Logia, Paramecia side, like the Storm Logia side or Air Logia, whatever, that just doesn't make sense to me, because the minute Oda introduced a Caesar, it kind of eliminated that, because then he's the gas fruit that controls all of that. You move gas, and that's what wind is. It's the movement of air. So the wind Logia would just be a lesser version of Caesar, and that kind of eliminated a lot of things. Sure, we can have a Storm fruit. Ever since Green Bull was introduced, I could see that. Like a sky fruit, like something really random like that. Cool. That's possible. That's not something I care to theorize though, because like I personally still would like to know more about Green Bull's fruit, because it's kind of a weird Logia. Definitely, like, is he a plant? Is he a tree? Is he all plants? Like, if you use armament hockey on a plant that he grew, does that hurt him? Like, is it like clipping his toenails? Like, I don't know how that affects him. It's like a really weird thing. But when it comes to Dragon, like, I feel like, yeah, the trend is hockey. I think there's a thematic from Mihawk, Shanks, even Garp, and you could tie it to Dragon, even with as little as we know. that would make sense that he would have immense haki. When you really think about what Dragon's doing, he's the only person in his field. There's plenty of pirates, there's plenty of marines, there's plenty of admirals, there's plenty of Yonko, but there's only one person at the head of the revolutionary that is actually running directly counter the world government, and it's only Dragon. And when you think about characters like that, it's like the same thing with Mihawk, right? Like, he's a lone wolf, and those characters are just gonna be crazy, especially if we're not gonna like show them, you know what I mean? And they're, hey, Luffy's dad, like the main character's dad. Like, the fact that like you brought up, like, if this is Garp's son or if he's connected to Garp, right? Like, he has to be crazy, Prime Garp, whatever. But people somehow, when they say that Dragon's a fraud, they forget, like, wait, like, Luffy, main character, like anime, shonen, like the dads like of these characters are usually cracked. Like, that's like just the thing, you know what I mean? Like, so it's one of those wild ones, right? But here's the thing: if Luffy's a sapling and all these characters are trees, another reason why I like that analogy is, what do we say when someone grows their haki? What there's this terminology that we use, right? It's called a haki bloom. And so it's like, I feel like that's what needs to happen for a lot of these characters. They need their haki to bloom into a tree situation. But we don't have, like, Rayleigh kind of made sense, right? Like, a new character is a little bit weird. And of the characters that at that level, who can teach the Straw Hats? Like, are the Straw Hats gonna get there on their own? Like, we've never, on Wano, he didn't have that. Hyogoro was his teacher. Kaido essentially beat the lesson into him. Katakuri was his teacher. Sure, he learned through opponents, but to close the gap that's from, in my opinion, from, let's just say, Kid and Law to Shanks, I think there's a mentor is needed. Even with Gear 5, I think a mentor is needed. And it would be weird. Mihawk can't be the mentor again. That's weird. That wouldn't make sense. Shanks, sure, but that would also kind of feel weird in the story. Garp, we think Garp is gonna die. And like, if he lives long enough, it's like, is he gonna teach him? That's weird too. Does it make sense Dragon's doing it? Sure. I see Dragon's the most plausible, but I also feel like not necessarily. I feel like that's gonna be a later on thing that we get Dragon, and like a connection for those two. But here's the thing, if Luffy's one side, right, his dream is connected to Roger, and his right hand taught Luffy, and another character of that level, you know, Whitebeard put out, he sent his entire crew to back Luffy up. So then wouldn't it make sense, of those three characters, that his grandfather, the other old head from the legend on the Navy side, his right hand, could possibly be the future mentor, especially if he is connected to Zorg. He could be the guy that ends, because he's a swordsman that is not Mihawk, that should be incredibly strong, that could help Zoro. And if he knows anything about haki, because he's known Garp for this entire time, I think it's plausible that Bogard could end up being the mentor. And the crazy part is, he's already a mentor. He's the reason why Kobe is where he's at. And like, I'm sitting there, I'm like, I know that sounds crazy, and I know that this idea only exists because you brought Bogard to my attention. So now I'm paying it back. I think that the reason why Bogard is not going to Fullaled, he didn't go with Garp, is because he might be headed to Egghead. He might be going there, and that might, somewhere along this way, Bogard, Sword, the Straw Hats, they end up looping into connection. And it might be that Bogard is the reason why the Straw Hats end up safe, right? Like, because if the Gorosei and Kizaru are on the way, I think that maybe they need a little, especially with Blackbeard in tow, I think that they might need an ally at this point. And Bogard might be enough on his own, honestly. I see him as a character like that. So what do you think about that? Where do you want to take that?
I never thought about that theory. That's actually really interesting. I thought like he might be coming to Egghead, but then I just didn't think of like why he would even do that. Like, he wouldn't be with those other ships like attacking Egghead. So I couldn't think of a reason, but that makes a lot of sense. And another thing is like what Mihawk said to Zoro way back when is like, he said like subtlety is like the swordsman's greatest value or something like that. And one thing that Zoro is not good at is being subtle.
Yeah.
And like that's something Bogard could easily teach him. He doesn't even have any attack name. He literally just like closed his sword on Kobe that one time without saying anything. So that's actually a really good theory. I never thought about that. I think that could make sense.
Yeah, I think, I saw someone say like, yo, we're giving him advanced conquers, whatever. The thing is, if you listen to this entire conversation, it almost doesn't make sense otherwise I'm not going to go on the conqueror side, but hockey in general. It makes no sense for him not to be a hockey master, considering he's been with GARP for 27 years. Just 2 years. Look what happened to Kobe. You know what I mean? Just think about that, right? Then, if we can say that he was, it would make sense for him to be at God Valley, which is just 10 years before Chapter 0, easily. These facts are there. Like, it doesn't make sense that this character who is with one of the strongest characters in the entire series all time, and their right hand to be weak. Like, if they're the only way that this like headcanon of how strong Bogard is wrong is if Oda just forgets about him. Like, that's the only way. Like, if we just don't introduce him, but otherwise Bogard is above Kobe and Helmeppo. If Kobe's gonna be the future of the Marines, right? Like, and he's this strong, Bogard's above him easily. Like, that just doesn't make sense. Like, he was one-handed beating Helmeppo and Kobe. What, like, and that was concurrent to when he was fighting Luffy. Like, Kobe landed a punch on Luffy, right? Like, and that Kobe and Helmeppo was getting one-handed beat down by Helmeppo. Like, he was like yawning, I'm pretty sure, I think it's chapter 119, the cover story, it might be.
It's the last page of the cover story.
Yeah, I think it's 119. So it's like, if he's here and he's not at full lit and he's going to be introduced to the story, I think Egghead makes the most sense. And it's also, Egghead makes a lot more sense for him to go to, because subtlety is important in a situation like that where Gorosei's there, assassins like CP0 are there, Kizaru's there, Blackbeard's on his way, you have the Straw Hats, you have to do all these things to get to the top phase. You need a spy, you need someone who can break into places, and again, that is Bogard's entire aesthetic. And that is the final thing that I want to, the note that I wanted to get on was, let me show you guys real quick. The admirals are all based off of movie characters, believe it or not. So much so that there's a creator, I'm pretty sure his name's Simply Kevin, predicted Green Bull, Aramaki's character, without missing a single beat. He predicted what he looked like, predicted, yeah, you saw that, right? Predicted everything. His sense of justice was basically right. He said the backstory like that we got, that TCB gave us, everything about that. Why? Because Oda has based all the admirals off of movie characters that really inspired him, or his favorite movie, and all these. It's funny, is like, I'm pretty sure all these characters and the actors in them were in one movie, and that's where you get them, right? And early on, we said something interesting. We said, and I think it makes sense, that Bogard could be the admiral of Sword. That position is still missing. We know that Sword has a hierarchy that goes up to rear admiral, but we don't know who the admiral is. You can't have a rear admiral without having an admiral, right? Like, someone has to be the admiral. And then we also talked about how Garp, yeah, he could be in Sword, but it also could make a lot of sense that he's not in Sword, because he would just be the biggest problem for Sword. In all regards, he's not sneaky, he's not a spy, he can't keep secrets, he just does what he wants. There's no controlling this man. So again, that's being said, Garp has all the connections to Sword. He's literally working with Sword, he trains Sword members, but his right hand is there, and he is a spy. So now, if he's an admiral and Oda wanted to keep the parallel up, wouldn't it make sense to make him a movie character based off of a movie character? And surprise, surprise, Bogard's inspiration is an iconic movie, Casablanca. And this movie is important for a lot of reasons. I actually wanted to make a video about this. Casablanca. Obviously, there's that white connection, the Blanca side of it, but also there's the, if you guys watch my Zoro video, there's a whole like movie story aspect of One Piece, like Sanji's backstory. It connects to several stories. The Iron Mask, for example, is like a real story of a French prince, two twins that want the king was. Like needed a proper heir or something, and essentially imprisoned one of the crown princes, put them in a mask, imprisoned them. That's Sanji's, like the chapter, I think it's chapter 840. That's essentially the same thing. That's the story, the inspiration there. So there's a lot of European stories, a lot of things like that that connect to One Piece. It's not just Japanese stories. And so Bogard is also inspired by a movie character. And now here's the crack thing. Bogard, it was the inspiration for GARP'S, or the prototype for GARP'S character, original design of GARP'S character, which is interesting because then it almost makes it make more sense that maybe Oda originally wanted GARP to be the head of Sword, because if the spy thematic was GARP's original design, then it would make sense to make him the head of Sword, but then he changed his mind somewhere, right? Like, I think that makes sense. He wanted to separate out the characters. The thing about GARP is GARP's a D-clan, right? Bogard, we don't know his full name, but Bogard has a D in there. It's interesting. Bogard is kind of like, if you flipped around his name, it kind of, you can end up with GARP. It's like, honestly, he got GARP from just rearranging Bogard's name. But hey, you guys might be thinking like, oh, is Par saying Bogard is a D-clan member? Well, what if I told you his inspiration was? His inspiration for Bogard is Humphrey Bogart. One-to-one name, right? Bogard, obviously. But let's click on the wiki here. Let's look at the actual name of this dude. I'm gonna zoom in for you guys. Humphrey DeForest Bogart. So the inspiration for Bogard is he has like, what is that name? First of all, it's like a made up name. And lo and behold, it has the D in there. And when I read that, I was like, yo, this is so cracked. The reason why is because if he's Sword, then he's gonna fight Green Bull. Because the deforest thing, he's gonna deforest Green Bull. It's gonna be Bogard versus Green Bull in an end stage fight. Because who is Green Bull gonna fight? If Bogard is Sword, it's going to be Green Bull. That's my take here. I think Bogard could be a D-clan member. It would make sense because what GARP is a D-clan, perfectly fine. If another D-clan made it into the Navy, right? Wouldn't it make sense that GARP would bring him underneath? Hey, have we seen that before? Oh, wait, Saul? Jaguar D Saul, right? He was another guy who was underneath GARP. Another D-clan underneath another, like GARP. Doesn't it make sense that GARP was bringing, like he was sitting there at the top, right? And protecting D-clan members within the world government? Isn't that why, like, you know, I was gonna say his government name, but Ace said something really crazy. I think it's chapter 525. I have these chapters memorized now. Yeah, it's 525. Ace says, the Navy would never accept Luffy and him, Ace, because they have world-class criminal blood flowing through their veins. And the irony is so heavy because he's talking to GARP, a D-clan member whose son is the worst criminal in the world. At what point do they go like, hey buddy, like maybe you shouldn't be in our organization, right? Like you're a D-clan, your son's kind of wild, but he's there. And Ace said that to him, and I was like, the irony in that. And then the irony in that, hey, he has Jaguar D Saul. And if Bogard is a D-clan, one, it's not a hard secret to hide because it's like, we're not showing, we barely knew about Marco when he was introduced. We barely knew about Rayleigh even then, right? Like we knew how strong he was, but we didn't really know about his full relationship with Roger, right? So I wouldn't be surprised if Bogard is the character that ends up playing the Rayleigh role in the last saga. He also ends up carrying the mantle of Sword. Also, because we think GARP is going to exit the story, he is going to be a character that sees What did Rayleigh do when he saw Luffy? He teared up. He said, yo, I see my guy in Luffy. I see Bogard looking at Kobe and Luffy and be like, this is what Garp always wanted. I'm so happy. You know what I mean? Like this was the goal at the end of the day. And I think that might be where the last saga is, because as weird as it sounds, we're only going to learn more about the world government. We're only going to learn more about the Navy. We're only going to learn more about the Marines, because that's what the last saga is about. We're like, we already got introduced to a new character, Black Horse. Like that's super random. God Knight's another random thing. Like we just learned about the sword members, right? Why would we learn about Bogard before we learn about his team, right? That would be such a weird way to introduce it. If Bogard is the leader, the way Oda's writing, it makes sense for Bogard to be him. And so I've said enough. Xavier, hit me with the closing thoughts on everything we talked about Bogard.
I never thought, I mean, like, obviously I've pondered the idea that he's part of the D clan because of his name, but you made a great point. Like, having, bringing in someone who's also a D would only make sense for Garp to do because of Saul and stuff. But also, like, there's so many other Marines he could have had by his side that whole time. Like, Aokiji was looking up to him hella. And then there's so many other strong Marines he could have had by his side, but he chose Bogard. So there's obviously some significance to that. Like, he could really have a D. And I think that him like filling that Rayleigh mentorship role is also a really good theory. I never thought about that either, but I do think if he is coming back, he will probably be at Full Lead if he isn't already there or on the ship, because I just feel like he would have to back Garp unless like he's just doing his own thing in Sword. But like I saw Mosh said too that like he could already always been at Full Lead, just like being a pirate spy for a hell of a long time, and that's why we didn't see him this entire time. Because I don't know if you recall, but do you know like the Captain John's treasure theory?
Yeah, Buggy has it and is gonna find it, and it might be on Rox's island. That kind of thing. Yeah.
So when he was initially like looking for it before he even got the armband from Luffy, he went to Impel Down because he was captured by Marines at this like outpost where he was looking for it. And the Marines who caught him in the anime included Bogard. And so that's only an anime only thing, but in an SBS, Oda actually revealed like Buggy ran into a Marine outpost, so it like actually happened the same way. We just don't know if it was Bogard for sure, but in the anime it is Bogard. And the island that it was on had a skull on it, like almost not identical, but very, very similar to Full Lead. So I feel like Bogard could have like affiliation with maybe he's been like searching for Pirate Island ever since God Valley or something. I don't know, or maybe he's just like been there the entire time already waiting for Garp. I feel like that could be the case. But I also really enjoy that theory that he could mentor the Straw Hats. That obviously I would like that. I mean, come on, that'd be dope.
Yeah. I think the reason why I'm leaning towards that is that there's so many parallels. And hey, you gave me a green light on it, but I will be referencing you out the wazoo. And so I'm gonna be, we're gonna close down some thoughts. Obviously, we can keep on talking, but before people click out or watch the beginning, I just want again, if you guys don't know, Xavier Wolfan, the one man army. I think like I need to create a dope epithet, but like one man army makes the most sense to me, because without a doubt, with like, yes, Brago came in and said that there was the guy who has been on Twitter and him, that's been a Bogard fan or whatever, but and no slander, but like if you mention Bogard on TikTok on any One Piece content, someone will comment Xavier's name on it. You mentioned Bogard, he like his reach is so expansive that not people who aren't even subbed to him or follow him will know who we're talking about, where the Bogard loves come from. And so this is his TikTok. Definitely go follow. 100K on TikTok, 112K. And you are, I think you said you were like getting up the YouTube stuff. And like the shorts is coming in. Shorts are pretty dope. You should definitely jump on that.
I know I'm lacking so hard on that.
Yeah. So go give him some motivation to pull up on YouTube. I linked his YouTube on there. When you get a chance, just I'm pretty sure because it's Xavier Wolfan with the Bogart thing, so I'm like, this is him, right? But definitely go check that out. Go to his Discord. I'm sure it's linked somewhere on anywhere on his place, in his social medias. Definitely a fun place. And so just going back to the mentor thing, right? Like I'm sitting here thinking like, yeah, sure, we could bring Scopper. I think Scopper is the main person I would bring up, and I would be okay. Like, yeah, we introduced this guy and they're a mentor. Cool, right? Fine, that works. But I feel like it's just like the connection to the old era, right? Like the golden age. I feel like Rayleigh, that was a dope thing with like, we don't know when Scopper joined necessarily, but Bogart was definitely like, Rayleigh was a day one for Roger. I think Bogart was a day one for Garp or something on that line. And then on the flip side of that is like, there's not that many characters left that make sense to be able to train Luffy, right? Like, it's not that they like, it's on when I say like Bogart can mentor Luffy in like elemental hockey, that not necessarily saying that he could be stronger than Gear 5 Luffy. That's not necessarily
like however you say his name.
Oh, what was that?
Hyogoro?
Yeah, on Wano. Yeah, he taught him Rio, right? Like, that was an important thing that, like, hey, if Hyogoro used Rio on Luffy before he knew Rio, that actually might have hurt Luffy at that point. You know what I mean? Because like that bypasses like his durability, his devil fruit, all that stuff. So, and then the only character outside of the ones that we know of that like should be relative to that tier is Dragon. But like, it just, I don't know, like, story wise, if it ever makes sense to have like a Dragon teaching Luffy. And though Dragon also mentored Sabo, that thing, but like, it just feels awkward. I feel at this point, right? Like, for Dragon to in the last saga to teach Luffy didn't even care about Dragon's okay with Luffy letting him do whatever he wants, right? There's so many like reasons why I just feel like it'd be awkward to now have them connected, and for that to be the way for Luffy to climb up. So like, and then it also, I don't know, there's like so many things, and I almost rather, like, of all the characters I can actually think of, Bogart just like fits there. It just makes too much sense to me. So much so that I'm probably gonna make a video. So I'm gonna try and get that YouTube love hopping onto the Bogart thing, and I think we're gonna you know what, like, Xavier wasn't putting money on this big outlook, but not that I put money on it, but if I'm wrong, I'll definitely do some, like, I still have like the hottest chip challenge thing that I was supposed to do, something along that lines. I'll definitely like own up to it, but like, yo, Bogart's just a fun character to be behind, you know what I mean? And I want more people to be behind it. So hopefully the 200 plus people here, we converted the Bogardians into, isn't that what you call them in the Discord too, the Bogardians?
Yeah, one of my fans coined that term. I think his name is Random Zero. Shout out to him. So yeah.
Shout out to that. We need more Bogardians going to the last saga. There's a few super chats to read, and then the last thing I'll do is I'll give you guys some updates on future videos, future streams, that kind of thing. So Andika became a member. Appreciate you. Oh, shout out to you. You've been a regular here for last 3 or 4 months, I feel like. Solid. I remember the name. Smoker with Bogart. Maybe he's going to Egghead too.
Oh yeah.
Okay, let's start this question from the top. Smoker, where is he? Egghead makes the most sense, right?
Yeah, I guess since Dahl is there, it could make sense for Smoker to also be there since he's also a vice admiral. But I feel like we would have seen him like with all the ships,
Yeah, that's what's sad. So like, we were talking about Sword, Smoker in Sword. It kind of also does it make sense for him to be in Sword?
It definitely does, because he's against, like, he was against the warlord system just like Fujitora, and he's also always like allying with Luffy, so I feel like that could easily be the case. Plus Tashigi is at Hachinosu. So.
Right. So if Smoker's there, Smoker's vice admiral level, and like, do you think Fujitora's in Sword?
Um, I feel like with like the new chapter, how they're talking about how like Sword isn't like an actual part of the Navy. I feel like admirals can't be a part of Sword, but maybe he is. He's like the most likely admiral to be a part of
Right, because
Sword
you
for sure.
can't, like, you on paper you're there, right? Like, it's the way he described it was these characters or people who can be easily written off. You can't just be like an admiral can't just go after a Yonko and then the world government's like, oh, never, they weren't an admiral. Like, you can't just do that, right? Like, so that makes sense. So Fujitora Aokiji, Aokiji makes more sense because he actually like left the Marine, so it's like it could be the case. Fujitora less so. It sort of opens the door since Akainu kind of like exiled him from coming back home, but like he then went back home, like, all right, he went to Marijuana, not to the new Marine Ford. So it's interesting. I'm asking that mainly because it's like, well, if admirals can't be there and Aokiji might or might not be, it opens the door for Bogard for sure. But then also it wouldn't make sense for there to be one admiral. Maybe there's two admirals, so like even that doesn't disclose that. So it's important to look at that. And so Smoker, even if he was in there, I don't think he'd be an admiral. Honestly, maybe it'd be a good thing, but I wouldn't want Smoker to be anywhere on the same tier as Bogard. No offense to Smoker, it would just be disrespectful to Bogard. Um,
Exactly.
yeah, this is full there. And the thing is, like Xavier said it, Smoker wasn't shown to be going to Egghead. Bogard's not being shown to go to Full Lead. So like, where, like, what else is left? Like, are they going after Shanks? Like, that'd be kind of crazy. I don't know, but like
That would be crazy. Going after Mihawk, sending Bogard for Mihawk.
oh, Cross Guild.
That would be crazy.
Wait, Cross Guild's kind of like a sleeper direction that like not a lot of people think about. Oh, maybe Bogard's trying to connect up with the Revs. That could be another route too.
Oh yeah, he's like already friends with Dragon. He probably has talked to Dragon before.
Yeah, you know what's crazy? Actually, hold on. Let me read out this real quick. Thank you. I don't know how to read this name, so I'm just gonna A.S. Widge Awid. Apologies if I mispronounced that. Thank you for the 5 gifted memberships. Those memberships definitely pay dividends this week because there's 2 member exclusive things right now. So, and I'll talk more about that in a little bit, but I had to shout out. Thank you. I appreciate that. But yeah, like the way when Garp showed up at Water 7, he's just like, oh yeah, Dragon said he was gonna say hi to you at Logtown. It was just like so casual. And then like Luffy's just like, I have a dad. And then Garp was just like, wait, he didn't say anything to you? And like that was such a casual relationship that I almost feel like it wouldn't be odd if Bogart knew about Dragon, right?
Yeah, I didn't even think about that. Like Garp was in talks with Dragon, right?
Yeah.
So
and it wasn't like a oh my god, the Yonkos are coming together, like, you know, the boys are in it wasn't that. It was like I heard Luffy's in Logtown in the East Blue, he's making his way, and then Dragon's like, you know what, I'm gonna go meet up with my son. You know, it's like super casual. Oh man, yeah. It's so wild. Yeah, I'm gonna bring that up in the video too. I brought up another point that in the Garp video that's gonna get posted is that Garp hates pirates, right? Like he down talks Shanks while Ace was in prison. He just like slandered his ass, like he called him a scallywag or whatever for like no reason. It's like he didn't need to do that in that moment. He hates pirates, but like the moment Shanks is anytime he's brought up, he's like, ah, oh, that red-haired or whatever, right? Or like whenever pirates are brought, oh, the pirates. But when it comes to Dragon, he's never down talked. He never said anything negative about Dragon, despite him being the world's worst criminal, despite him being part of the organization that's counter to him and the world government. When he brought up Dragon, he just said, yeah. And then when they brought him Marineford, he's like, yeah. Like he never said anything negative, right? That says a lot.
Gotta be because their morals align. Like Dragon doesn't want to just like take out the world government. He wants to like, you know, reform it. So that's probably exactly what Garp wants to do too. So that's a really good point, actually.
And if Garp is like that, Bogart is like that. You know what I mean? Like, so now, oh man, wait. I think we just made a mega theory that like it's like both a really good sword, like awesome for sword, awesome for the Straw Hats, but Bogart actually fits really well with the Rev side too. That like just makes sense, and also know nothing about the Revs in the grand scheme of things, right? Like, we don't even know if Sabo's alive. We barely knew if Sabo was alive coming into the time skip. So it's like, that's another example of like characters in that realm where Oda just kind of like does something to them. It's like, okay, that makes sense in hindsight, right? So dang, I'm glad we had this 2-hour conversation about Bogart, because now I gotta, oh man, when I hit up my the artist for my thumbnails, he's gonna be like, who do you want me to put on?
Your artist better know who he is, or he's gonna have to get.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to give him a training arc if he doesn't know about. I'm gonna have to make him watch this video and this stream. This is yeah, this is a solid one. Oh man, and that, wait, this is actually a really good theory now I think about it. Oh man, you know what? All right, we'll close it out there. I don't want to spoil too much of the last saga, guys, because clearly Xavier has known about the last saga before all of us. The most important character, Bogart. If you guys are members, you guys would know that I'm no slouch about Bogart. The title of the video is Bogart is the One Piece. Bogart is Admiral level. I say that outright, out in public. I'm just debating whether I make that video public because I feel bad to members because there's so many members and I don't give them exclusive content. And I'm like, you know what? Let me post this up for exclusive content. And it was a dope video. And it was about Bogart. I convinced 2 creators that Bogart could be in relevancy.
Yep.
And so thank you, Xavier, for enlightening me about Bogart. Thank you for allowing the world to see your vision, the Xavier vision. I don't know what we'd call the collab, the Bo vision, the Bogart vision, whatever it is, but appreciate that.
I appreciate being on. Like, I'm just blessed to be talking to you. You're one of my favorite creators, bro. Like, I want to have a whole other discussion with you. I got a lot more to talk about, so I'm trying to do this again.
Oh yeah, for sure. I try. So like when I go on the TikTok, so I don't know if you knew this, but I have a son now, so that's made it harder to stream, get onto lives, all that stuff. But whenever I hop onto TikTok lives, I'm usually with my son because like I'm feeding him or he's sleeping or whatever, so I'm just like with him chilling. And so it used to be that like people would send me a request and I just hop on, but now I can't because then I just wake up the baby, and that's a whole different issue. And my viewers know my baby's Conquers hockey is unmatched. it is actually
well, congratulations, bro. That's great.
Thank you. I appreciate that. It's definitely a lot of fun. But if you want to talk more, like I know that there's some other videos you want to talk about. When I'm on your live, hit me up. I'll definitely join to talk more, or we can schedule another one of these because I just. Like this is the thing, the YouTube side, right? Like one thing that like that people told me when I joined YouTube, because I started on TikTok and I started from the Elemental Hockey video. That video was made for YouTube, but it was one of my first like main theory videos, because before that I was just like doing not commentary, but like just putting my thoughts out there. And I had that Elemental Hockey theory for a very long time. I just didn't know this community existed. And one thing that people told me was that to me, especially on YouTube, I was a breath of fresh air. Like there was nobody really talking about like One Piece the way I was, which I didn't understand. I kind of understand now. I definitely understand more of it now, in the sense of like conversations on YouTube can get stale because you're talking to the same people, the community wants to go in the same directions, but TikTok is the way that you breathe new life in it. There's so many dope creators, and don't like that One Piece talk literally super chatted $10 to say that out loud, right? They've had Xavier on there, and for me, like, yeah, this is like, I'm telling you, like, Mosh got me into the space and he's a breath of fresh air, but I can't say enough. Like there's some chapters where the first thought is him. Last chapter, that was the case. Like, how many of you guys remember when I brought up Bogart? Like one of the first things, I was like, oh my god, I need to I literally was like, I need to talk to you. So likewise, in the same light, because you know, at the end of the day, people outside of our community can look at like what you do and what I do, and it's like, oh, why are you trying so hard? And that happens a lot on TikTok, because you get like the Naruto fans and the general anime fans that like common One Piece fan, looking too deep, blah blah blah, thinks they write better than Oda, and it's not like that. Like you and I think you have like a very passionate, nonchalant, chill kind of like look towards things, where that's kind of what we just do here. We just like good times, good vibes, and that's the main focus. And I love boosting that kind of creator up, and you're definitely one of those people. I always enjoy your lives.
You are too, bro. You're literally one of my favorite creators aside from like Teching. You and Teching are my favorites by far.
Ooh, Tech. That stream with Teching was pretty fun too. I made Teching. Wait, did you see that that stream with Teching?
I watched a portion of it, but I could not finish it.
I got Teching to freak out. Like he literally like he said his like brain was exploding. So he's just like, I can't. He was just like having theory overload, and he's like, wait, these make too much sense, but they're so wild. And so hopefully the outcome of that stream was he said that he would make more theories. He would let himself become more and I haven't watched Teching like I've seen some of his chapter stuff, but I haven't seen his theories, but hopefully it did come to fruition, and he allows himself to be more free with this content, because that's at the end of the day, right? Like, you bring Bogart to my plate, I bring like the Bogart last saga role. It's like we're all sharing this dope idea, and that's at the end of the day was fun. Whether it happens or not, sure, but you know what, guys, hold me to it. If Bogart doesn't show up in a big way, I will do something. If it's the hottest chip challenge, I'll do it. If it's like the hot ones last dab, I'll do it. Anything like that, I'll definitely, you know, I'm not, Mihawk is a sword, Bogart is the One Piece. Bogart is the Admiral level. Let's stick there, right? He's a D clan, all that jazz. I like the Bogart is gonna fight Green Bull. That was one of my favorite ones right now. But yeah, so we will close out there. I think I got through all the super chats. Definitely go check out Xavier. I can't say that enough. I'm saying that more often than any time before, because I know a lot of you guys don't want to go on TikTok because it's a kids app dancing. That's not what it is. Honestly, if you go to TikTok and you see people dancing, that's a self-report. That's absolutely a self-report. You should see what you want to see, because you should like what you want to watch, and you know, you can easily get into the anime space, and it's so dope. One of my favorite creators right now in the anime space is actually totally not Mark. He's been popping off on TikTok. He was a YouTuber, or he is a YouTuber, but he's been posting really dope content there. So but again, go check out Xavier on TikTok. I'm gonna try my best to motivate him on YouTube, and that's part of the reason what this YouTube stream is about, to get him onto YouTube. And there's dope people like AIM PDX, who gifted me 10 gifted memberships, or gifted you guys 10 gifted memberships to the channel. I appreciate that, because you also gifted 50 last time, which is just insane. So shout outs to you. Thank you for supporting streams like this, because you know, everybody else is like, oh, let's do a GARP summit, let's do a Shank summit. It's people wanted me to do a GARP summit, and I was like, fine, but I sat here and said, no, Bogart is the first stream I'm gonna do after the chapter, and that I held it. I said it.
Appreciate it.
Man of my word. So in terms of future things, right after this, I'm going to be working on finishing up the GARP video. It's basically done. So I'm probably I'll just post it tonight if I get it done before like 9 p.m. Eastern time. I'll post it up tonight. So there's that. I might do a stream on Sunday. I'm debating if I do solo, because I haven't done solo. Might bring a creator on. It's all in the works. And then I'll be showing up to that One Piece talk in the studio on April 21st. So look forward to that. And then 1081 comes out, and in terms of that, if you guys asked, here, let's end it off here. 1081. What are you looking forward to? What do you expect? Kind of your predictions. What do you want to see? That kind of thing. Let's end it off with that with you, Xavier, and then I'll say my stuff.
I don't think they're gonna go back to Pirate Island right after, because Oda's kind of been skipping around. I feel like it'll probably be an Egghead chapter, or maybe even a Cross Guild chapter. I don't know, because we haven't seen Cross Guild in a while. So okay. Yeah, I don't know. He could do a lot of things.
People on YouTube would be angry about you saying. I mean, people on TikTok. Everybody wants a full OLED thing, but like, I do too. But I feel like maybe we start, and then we leave off with like another cliffhanger, because Oda, and then you know what, Cross Guild, because why go back to Egghead right now? I think Cross Guild, and then a Revs update, and then go back to Egghead.
Or Kuma update too. That could also.
But I feel like Kuma might be like the climax. It could be the keg, like the explosion that like sets off a lot of things. But I also see it as like a climax of we learn a lot. But that's also because I have the Kuma memory theory, that like his memories was at God Valley and it connects so many different directions.
Oh yeah, I've seen that.
Yeah.
That's a good.
Yeah, people wanted me to make that video and I just didn't have time because Oda's just been insane. So with that, like I think 1081, you know what, you're right, it might lower the energy because like how can you go from Shanks to Garp to like people want a dragon chapter, but I feel like we need to chill out, right? Like I feel like we might get a heart attack, but that might be why there's break weeks, right? Like Oda wants us to settle down in between. So for me, I think in terms of I'm gonna go from 3 to 1. I think what I would want to see is cross guild revs. I like that. I want to see some kind of update on the GARP'S. I just need to know what happened after Galaxy Impact. I don't necessarily need to know the solution, the resolution of what happened on Philolet Island, but I would like to know where Blackbeard is. That would be fun. And in terms of the thing I'm looking forward to the most, and you guys should know my answer right now based off this stream, I have to know about Bogard. That is the #1 thing to look for 1081. If we're gonna follow up Garp Galaxy Impact, why not show off his right hand? Then if you're gonna show off his power, you could show off his power even more indirectly through Bogard. And I'm not even memeing. Every chapter I'm gonna be looking for Bogard. You'll see it in the live reactions. The moment we see a hat that looks like Bogard, just know.
Oh my god, I would be so hyped as soon as I kind of get spoiled on it through the scans, so I just spoil myself. And like when that 1080 came out, I went to the One Piece scan Twitter that leaks the scan. And every couple minutes they would leak a panel or something.
Mm-hmm.
So I was just refreshing that every 2 minutes to see if I could see a panel with Bogard because I knew it had Garp in it. So I was just waiting to see.
Yeah, I was surprised because you normally don't do spoiler content, but you put the warning in front, and I was just like, thank God. That's why Xavier's goated. But then I was like, because not that you spoiled me, but I was like, when did he get into spoilers? This must be a crazy chapter. And then that was I didn't think Bogart or anything. I was just thinking damn, we're getting spoilers from everybody. Everybody either is getting spoiled or everybody's jumping on one way or the other. So it was definitely I understand, completely get it. So with that, guys, thank you guys for listening to the voice of all things. Xavier is definitely a great voice to listen to. Probably, and not an understatement, literally the most unique content creator, 100K on TikTok talking about Bogard I can't even do that for all my favorite theories. Do you guys understand how frustrating that is a little bit? I have Mihawk as a sword. I'm pretty sure Bogard is trending more than Mihawk as a sword. That's no offense. I'm kind of upset by that, but it is what it is.
Sometimes the algorithm is just doesn't do it. It's kind of just sometimes.
So the One Man Army, Xavier Wolfan, check him out. Look forward to whenever, if Bogard ever shows up in the thing, don't come to my live reaction. If you guys know Bogard is in the chapter, go straight to his channel first. Do that. Go show him some love. With that, guys, see you guys the next time. I'm not sure if I'm gonna, the Garp video is 40 minutes long, so I'm not sure if I want to premiere it, but I'll decide. Let me know if you guys want it to be premiered in my Discord or in the comments here. I'll read it. With that, guys, thank you guys for tuning in. See you guys next time. Peace out.